Okay, so good morning to all, and I'm Basavraj. So for the first time, I'm taking classes here in Vijayanagar. Usually my classes will be there in Delhi, Hyderabad, Chennai, and all. So online classes ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, right? So this is where I'll be talking about geography as a general studies. So you should understand two different things. One is optional and one is general studies. So both are two different things, right? So when you talk about optional and general studies, there is a huge difference. In optional, you have to go with micro analysis, in depth, why it has happened, reason behind that, what exactly is linked to that. And for online students, hope I am audible as well as visible to you. Just confirm that part. Right, so you have to make approaches. Now, when you talk about approaches here, in the context of geography as general studies, right? So what should be the approach in that? Or what should be the way in which UPSC aspirants has to take? Any idea? See, you don't have to get any fear. Bhaya padonta enu illa. It is very simple. And do you know what is the qualification required for a person to write UPSC examination? Graduation. Percentage ಏನಾದರೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರ ಅವರು? No. 35, 40%. Idea is that after that what you learn, after that what you plan, that is something which is going to count here. So whether you are 90%, 100%, it is not required. If that is the case, then they would have taken all gold medalists as an IAS officers, second rankers of the university as IPS, IRS and all. So it is not mandatory. Only what you put in your efforts in this 1 or 2 years and how you consolidate, you yatara nim subjects choose madi baritira, that is something which makes a huge difference. So it is whatever has been gone now. If you are gold medalist in your graduation, leave it apart. If you are just a pass person, leave it apart. So from now onwards, when you are preparing, that is something which will fetch you the results here. Even from today also, if you start your journey with the proper consolidation, then it will help you to crack examination. And one more thing is that I have seen many aspirants. Iga Karnataka ankoli, there are very brilliant students, but the problem is language. The problem is language. Yakantandaga, you might be having good amount of information, you might be having good amount of knowledge, but if you are unable to put them in paper in proper way, then it will be a problem. So that's why you have to upgrade. You don't downgrade yourself. Idea is that you start learning English language a bit more. Spend half an hour more, 1 hour extra, so that your English language will improve. Because ultimately, when you become an IAS and IPS officer, you have to interact with certain languages. So that will help you to get more confidence. See, language kalibekanteniಲ್ಲ, but it is associated with your writing practice alva. So when you're writing in UPSC, the medium of your writing will be English only. So when that is the only way, then it is better to learn in advance, right? I'm not telling you to become very strong in your vocabulary, but something where they can understand is also very important alva. So you try to focus on English language also. That will give you a bit amount of confidence. You have to upgrade. Slowly, if you upgrade, then that will help you in a good amount of context. So don't get fear. Bhaya padonta adenilla. It is not a big thing. It is just a normal graduation content. Clear? Okay. Now, when we talk about this geography or any aspect of UPSC, right? Now, what is required in the UPSC perspectives? So, for any UPSC examination, right? So, the first thing is you have to know what has to be read. Right? ಏನು ಓದ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು important ಅಲ್ವಾ? See, it is something like this. You have to reach to the airport. So if you don't know in which direction that airport is, if you keep on running, will you reach there? So first and very important thing is what should be read. Now, how to go with this? See, in this class, you have to be interacting. You have to be interactive. Idea is that if you involve, 30% of your courage will increase. ಮಾತಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು, ಮಾತಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಹೋದಾಗ ಯು ಕಾಂಟ್ ಕವರ್ ಯುವರ್ ಫೇಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಗೋ, ರೈಟ್? ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಇಂಟರಾಕ್ಟ್. ಯು ಕಾಂಟ್ ಸೇ ದಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಶೈ, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಅಫ್ರೇಡ್. ನೋ, You have to interact because you may be having huge amount of information in your mind. I am not a person who can scan. Robo idre scan ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. Oh, your brain ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ. Oh, he is intelligent person ಅಂತ. So your knowledge is expressed only when you write. When you write. So that is where you have to increase that capacity. UPSC ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ mains ಅಲ್ಲಿ they check your writing capacities, but interview ಅಲ್ಲಿ they check your oration, how best you are in speaking also. So combining that you will get a total ranking. So in the mains, your writing capacity are there. So there are very brilliant students who are good in writing, but very weak in oral. Then do you think that they will get results? No. So they are very brilliant in oration, but not good in writing. Then it becomes difficult for them to reach to the interview only. Right? So you should be good enough in both the sections. Good enough in writing, good enough in oral. Even if it is more than average, that is sufficient for you to crack your examination. Now, how to go with this what? Fast. How to assess what has to be read? ನೀವು ಓದ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಏನಂತಂದಾಗ ಏನು ಅಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗೇಜ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್. ಓಪನ್ ಅಪ್ ವೆದರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರೈಟ್ ರಾಂಗ್ ನೋ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್. ವಾಟ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್, ಏನು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಟು ಅಸೆಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ರೆಡ್ ಫಾರ್ UPSC? See, you are having something in your mind. So after scanning that only, you have to understand what has to be read there, right? So what you will scan, what you will refer? PYQs. Okay, previous year questions, done. Syllabus. Perfect. So have you gone through syllabus? No, be honest with that. Have you gone through the syllabus word by word? Illa. Have you gone through previous year questions? All questions? And how it is possible? How it is possible, right? So you have to go with previous year questions, syllabus, at least glance them. At least glance them. So once you are good enough in this, then you will have an idea what to be read. ಏನು ಓದ್ಕೋಬೇಕಂತ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನೀವು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ? Then once you know that what to be read, then how to read. How to read that. Now the second aspect is how to read. How to go ahead. Now for this, you are having classes. So we'll be taking classes. Will help you to understand how to read that. Apart from that, you can also depend on something called as the standard NCERT books. They will also help you. They will also help you. Right. Then third thing is, the major aspect is, there are many topics. Do you think that all the topics are important for exams? No. So here the challenging is selective reading. The challenge is selective reading. So you are good enough in knowing what to read, but you are not good enough in living what not to be read. So this is which makes a difference. So here you should identify what not to read. What not to read. So you can skip some topics. There is no problem. So it is something like this. When you are standing in the sea, ಮರಳು ಹಿಡಿತಿರಲ್ಲ, if you take a sand in a fist, you try to hold it with a complete tight hand. Try to hold it with a complete grip. ಏನಾದರೂ ಸಿಗುತ್ತಾ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ? Nothing will be there. But whatever is there, if you try to hold it with a simple hand, at least that amount of sand will be there. You can hold maximum amount of that. So that is what UPSC requires. Don't try to make mastery in any subject. If you keep on mastery, then you will have nothing in your brain. Brainwash agogbidutte. If you keep on doing mastery in all the subjects, maybe 2 years, 3 years if you read that. So after that 4 years, you will be start laughing on the roads. You will be start throwing stones on somebody. It means that it is an indication of something different. So ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಓದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಂಥದ್ದೇನಿಲ್ಲ. Try to consolidate whatever is there in your hand. Right. So here it is about what not to read. And apart from that, it is about consolidation. Consolidation. So what do you mean by consolidation? See, this is idea. Don't worry. 100 hours are there. So in 100 hours, we can complete geography in a very best way. You don't have to worry. But before that, you should have some strategy. Idella andre, then how you will read that? What is consolidation? Yes, open up. Not a problem. Okay. History ಓದಿದಿರಲ್ಲ, almost all of you are completed graduation. If not 12th ಆದ್ರೂ ಮುಗಿಸಿದಿರ, right? Done. So in that you come across greatest kings of India, right? So can you name at least 2 greatest kings of India? Ashoka. Okay, Ashoka is the greatest king. Then Samudragupta. Perfect. Then Akbar. Okay. Done. So you are having very limited kings who are referred as the best kings. Now why don't we call Muhammad bin Tughlaq as the best king of India? Because if you see his extension of territory, it was largest, it was bigger. But why we don't call him as the best king? Why we don't call him as a best king? The reason is his plans were good, but execution is correct agita. If you plan without execution, do you get results? Understand this. If you keep on planning, I'll keep on writing without execution, you won't get results. So it will be like Tughlaq. It will be like Tughlaq. Now when you want to become a greatest person like Ashoka or Akbara or these, so they emphasized on 2 things. Whatever territory they have conquered, they consolidated. Not an inch of territory was lost during their reign. On Swalpanu land they did not lost. But if you take Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he was conquering in the north, but in the south Vijayanagara Empire was there, Bahmani Empire was there. So it was moving away from the south. So it means he was unable to consolidate. Samagravagi itkolilla avanu. So that is consolidation. Every information, you should have a complete idea of that. That is called as consolidation. What it is, outcome of that, how it is done. So we refer that as consolidation. Anything you tell. Yavado on the story ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ half story ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ will you understand anything? You have to complete that story. That is called as consolidation. Everything has to be there. Then only your answers will be there. In UPSC, we start introduction, main body and conclusion. Without conclusion, how your answers will be there. So that is very, very important. It is not difficult. If you start from today, ಇವತ್ತಿಂದ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ you will get an idea about that. And that is how the answers of a perfect person and from a normal person will be there. See, when you talk about UPSC rankers, do you think that they are having entire knowledge in their mind? No, it is not possible. But why they score more? Because certain topics where they don't know also, they will try something, they write something, and that something is important. Something comes only when you are having a confidence of certain parts. So that is required in UPSC. So there are many topics which you don't know. It is technically not possible for human being to complete 100% of general studies. But in spite of that also, you can write some good answers, and that is required for UPSC. So that something is very, very significant, which you have to develop, new develop madkobekarna. Because many institutes will not teach. Even if you take for 10 years of classes in UPSC in Delhi and Koli, do you think that all the topics covered there will be in your UPSC exams? No, it is a foolishness. It's a foolishness if they say I'm taking 2 years of classes and everything will be there from my notes only. It is a foolishness. See, when you talk about Akbar, when you talk about Ashoka, Ashoka will be there in class 8th, class 9th, class 11th, class 12th. Now, whatever you read about Ashoka in class 12th and degree, is it same as what you find in class 8th book? No. So, ಅದೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಅವರು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, it is covered in my notes. How you can compare that part? And generally when you're talking, almost all the topics will be there which are peripherally touch, and that peripheral touch will not help you unless and until you develop the quality of writing. So don't get much depressed. Process. It is something called as, if you do good things, it will come back in proper way. Is it clear? So this is what required. Hard work, smart work is required for this exams. Done. So consolidation is very important. I hope you are getting the point. So ಯಾವುದು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಬರಿಬೇಕಂತಂದಾಗ ಈಗ ಸ್ಮಾರ್ಟ್ ಸಿಟಿ ಬರೀತೀರಾ, write a note on smart city with reference to Bangalore, or how smart city will help to make Bangalore a Singapore of India. Right? So a concept ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ. Everybody knows that. But examiner ಗೆ ಏನು ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ how you consolidate that. ನೀವು way forward ಯಾವ ತರ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀರಾ. Because even if you ask to the auto person also, he will say, ಸಿಂಗಾಪುರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ರೋಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. That is not required for the exam. idea is what that smart city concept is, how you are doing introduction, and how you are completing your consolidation. Then only they will have a weightage on your answer writing capacities, right? So please keep these things in the mind. So it is not about pouring all the content in your answers. Ella content baribekagilla. Ella content bardaga they call it as a report. So have you seen any question where they say give a report on one theory? No. The reports bekagilla avarge. So you have to analyze, you have to put them into proper way. You have to use language which is suitable for you. So try to learn something in that. That will fetch you good amount of power, right? So here, what to be read and how to read and which have to be done. So this will come by practice, 10 days, 15 days when we go with this geography. Idea you can skip some topics of that. Now what is the third part? The third part is something which is very challenging, right? So in the third part, we talk about something called as updating of whatever data you are having. Then writing. Many students feel that they are good enough in listening. Now always remember 10 times reading is equals to 1 time writing. 10 times reading is equals to 1 time writing. Now in the mains you have to write everything. Without writing you can't get good marks. So make a habit of writing. You just baritiro, that will be there with you. See, it's something like this. When you speak, it is just going outside. When you speak, it's just going outside. It's just like a water vapor which evaporates. But when you write that, you are feeding something to your brain. And I don't think brain will give, yavagu brain kai kodalla. It will always be there with you. So there should be a proper coordination between brain and your hand. And to have that, this should be fed with something. And that something is when you write. You just barikiro, that will be there with you. Right. So you have to make a writing practice and you have to always make updating. Updating in the sense you have to talk about current affairs. Current affairs. Now which current affairs we are talking? Everyday newspapers you are having. Newspapers you will be having. Then in the context of geography, we are having something called as PIB. Gotalba PIB. Right. Then we have some magazines like Geography and You. If it is possible, read that. Or you are having something called as Down to Earth magazine. Down to Earth magazine. Now this Down to Earth magazine only, they will give some rough ideas and explanation. For example, cloud burstings are there in Himalayas. So what is cloud bursting? Case study kodtane. Yen reason agide. Why they are continuously in that? Which areas are affected? In a simplified language. So that will help you in writing analytical part. So these two magazines are something which are very important. Even if you're not reading this, you go with Down to Earth. This will help you in geography, ecology, science and technology, social issues. Everything will be covered here. Down to Earth magazine. So articles will help you to write very good essay. So online al sigate. If you go with the Down to Earth and Google down, articles ondondag barta irutte. You can read them. You don't have to purchase also. So Down to Earth you can take magazines and read and make notes of that. This is one. Then you have to depend on reports. You have to depend on reports. Now these are the reports in geography where they are from many important institutions. Thousands reports irutte. You don't have to go with that. So you are having the reports from, say, something called as NASA. So NASA gives some reports. You have to depend on that. We have something from National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. Don't get much stress. When I take oceanography, I'll talk on those things. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Or sometimes we are having something called as IPCC. Have you heard about that? Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. IPCC. So we are having many such. So international reports are very, very important. Now sometimes you get a data, something called as Human Development Index. Right. So around 10-15 reports will be there every year. So our reports and data statistics, so some points, if we mark them, 10 points barkondre, you will have a good confidence. Gender equality report ankoli, Human Development Index report ankoli, consumption of carbon dioxide ankoli, or something which are relevant to that. So those data will be there directly. They will ask in the prelims and directly they will be there in your mains parts also. So some reports which are international and some reports which are from Government of India, and generally those reports you will find in PIBs. Right. ಈಗ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ISRO launch ಆಯಿತು, they will give some data. Then Ministry of Earth Science, they will also have some research, so they will give some data. So those things you have to take into consideration. So please remember this: what to read, how to read, and how to make updates. Now, when you're talking about how to read, you have to make that there are two approaches in general studies and optional. One is called as horizontal and one is called as vertical. So what do you mean by horizontal? Horizontal andre ಏನು? Vertical andre ಏನು? When we are digging a well, we are digging vertically or horizontally? Railway lines are horizontal. Railway lines are horizontal. Borewell is vertical. So vertical andaga in depth agutte. So when you are reading your optional, your approach should be vertical. When you are reading your GS, your approach should be horizontal. Yes, agutte astu touch madkoli. Right? So whatever things are there, you try to consolidate them. Right? So your approach should be horizontal here. Right? Now, when you are reading general studies, there are some topics which only requires what it is. Rama obba huduga, sufficient. Some topics are there. When you are talking Rama obba huduga, that is sufficient. You don't have to dig research on that. If you are digging research, that will not help you only. Kate baribekanta agilla. But there are some topics where you have to make micro analysis. So some topics only knowing them is sufficient. There are some topics you have to make why. So that is where we will be emphasizing on that. So some topics which need why, we will go vertically, and there are many topics which requires horizontally. ಈಗ ಸನ್ ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ ನಾವು. ಸನ್ ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಸಫಿಷಿಯಂಟು. ನೀವು ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ ಅದು. ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎನಿ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದಟ್. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸನ್ ಸ್ಪಾಟ್, ಹೌ ದೇ ಆರ್, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅರೋರಾ ಬೊರಿಯಾಲಿಸ್, ಏನದು ಸಾಕು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. Because this is not your optional part. So what it is, that is more than sufficient. There are some topics where you have to go in-depth analysis. So that we will be doing. So here you should be good enough in selective that how to make horizontal and how to make vertical part. Now, for example, when you talk about India's agriculture, so India's agriculture horizontal ಓದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. You have to go with deep. Irrigation facility ಹೆಂಗಿದೆ, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, why we brought that. Right? So is it because government is having huge money and they don't have much work? There is a reason behind that. Why we are going for organic farming? Is it because to bring a policy? No. There is a reason behind that. So even Allanu, you don't have to go with what, you have to go with why. I hope you are getting the point. So there are few topics where we have to go why. There are few topics only what is sufficient. So that has to be kept in the mind. So that is where it differentiate that what not to read. What not to read here. Is it clear now? So any time, any subject, ಯಾವುದೋ subject ನೀವು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, geography ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, history ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, polity ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, first you glance that carefully. Go with the questions. Don't write answers. See the questions. What type of questions are asked. Then you can frame your studies. Is it clear? Okay. Now, moving down to other aspects. Now, when you talk about geography, right? Now, as a simple part, last 1 year in the 1 year or 1.5 year, what are the major issues you find in geography as a student? Worldly, any issues you have found? It may be geography, ecology. Fast. Climate change. Okay. Now, what is climate change? It is associated with global warming. So fossil fuels. So idea is that you should have a strategy, and one of the important strategy for that is clean energy. Now what is clean energy? Like solar energy, wind energy. It major problem ide alva. So you have to focus on that. Now this year UPSC mains toddaga they are asked question on solar energy. Why? Because of this climate change. Now this time they have asked solar energy. Right. Now next time they may ask something about different geothermal energy. They may talk about other policies. I'm just telling you how to work out on that. This is one. Then apart from that, fast. Recent 6-7 months floods. So there are something associated with the floods. Then global warming is a part of climate change. right? So we'll discuss that. Global warming is a part of climate change. Global warming will be like your roti curry. In climate change is like your bahubali thali. So global warming andre, it is only increasing average temperature of the earth. Climate change only you will find increasing temperature and decreasing temperature also. So it is a part of that. So when I take global warming and climate change, I'll explain that. So many students make a confusion that global warming and climate change are same. Global warming is a part of climate change. So climate change andaga 30 years data when which changes, we refer that as climate change. So change antandaga, can you take only increasing value? It is decreasing value also. So decreasing value now global warming antiva. Can we say the temperature which is decreasing as global warming? No. So hence global warming is a part of climate change. I hope it is clear. So you should have a clarity on your context. Then you can write very good part. Global warming means average temperature of earth which is increasing. It is a part of climate change. This is what we have seen. Okay, then cloud bursting. So next year you can expect question on cloud bursting and floods. Then landslides. Disaster management barutte, landslides, perfect. Then current affairs adke important. Energy sources. So when you talk about energy sources, now in the energy sources, there are two important things which have been seen. One is solar energy kedidare. Second one is something called as nuclear fusion. 15 marks question was asked on that. ITR, International Thermonuclear Energy Reactor. So energy source is also very important. So they are talking about something called as clean energy sources. So in the clean energy sources, one is these, we refer them as the non-fossil fuels. So non-fossil fuels only, we always come across, see in any country, we define energy sources into two. One is fossil and one is non-fossil. Now fossil indhana andaga, petroleum, coal, natural gas. So these all are called as fossil fuels. Now non-fossil fuels, what it consists of? See, whatever I am discussing is not out of syllabus. It is a part and parcel of your syllabus. So non-fossil fuels andaga, what you can find? Yes, Ritik, you are talking about wars. I'll come back to that point. Non-fossil fuels includes clean energy and another word for green energy. See, one is fossil fuel, non-fossil fuel. Non-fossil fuel includes something called as clean energy or renewable energies like solar energy, wind energies and all. Then apart from that, you are having something called as nuclear energy. So India, do we have more nuclear energy? See, when you talk about India's energy, so what is the percentage of India's energy scenario? Iga fossil fuel ankoli, fossil fuel and non-fossil fuel. If you take this as 100%, so what is percentage of fossil fuel and non-fossil fuel? Yes, generate agutte India dalli. 80%. According to the installed capacity, 51% of energy is produced from fossil fuels and 49% is produced from non-fossil fuels. Non-fossil fuels. So these are very important statistics. And in that 49%, we are having renewable energy. And renewable energy includes all such like solar energy. So every year you can expect one question on that. And then slowly we are building up nuclear energy. Less than 8% nuclear reactors. India the list is 16 something. Right? So we are working on that. So slowly we are building up nuclear reactors. So don't you think that that study is important? So nuclear reactors, fusion reactors. So that is something which is in the context. So here you are having renewable energy and then nuclear energy. So this completes India's energy scenarios. Framework irbeku. You don't have to write in detail. So energy capacity in India is fossil and non-fossil. So fossil you are having petroleum, coal, natural gas, all those. In non-fossil fuel, renewable, solar energy, wind energy, geothermal energy, small mini hydro, then nuclear energy. So if you have that idea, then your work is done. Then data new fix madadaga, your work is done. Now, when you talk about this, which energy should be encouraged and which energy should be discouraged in the context of climate change? In the context of climate change, which energy should be encouraged and which energy should be discouraged? ಯಾವ್ದು ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಎನ್ಕರೇಜ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ನಾನ್ ಫಾಸಿಲ್. ಯಾವ್ದು ಡಿಸ್ಕರೇಜ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? That should be kept in the mind. So when you're writing your answers, you should have that golden words. In India, as a policy, we always encourage non-fossil fuels. Why? Because it is a response of India towards climate change issues. Then you have to talk 1, 2, 3, 4. That becomes your SNT, that becomes your general approach. One structure idrane, see, without the structure, can our body stand? So if you are writing answers without the structure, it will be like amoeba, which will float here and there. Right? So you should have a good skeleton. And that skeleton comes only when you are having good structure. That is required in UPSC. Artha aagta idya? So that is where you have to develop your context. Right? So this is something which is required. So every year you can expect questions on this. Every year you can expect questions on this. Now, here he was telling something called as, Ritik was telling about wars. Now, when you talk about wars, if you take the war associated with Russia and Ukraine, what is the major reason for Russia and Ukraine war? And other countries' diplomacy mataddaga ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು? When you talk about Trump, what he says? India should purchase more oil or less oil from that? India is purchasing, so oil is one of the important factor. Oil important issue idalva geopolitics ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Oil is something which is important. Now, definitely they will ask question on oil fields, and that is where 15 marks question on asked on this oil. Ritik, 15 marks question was asked on that how this oil fields are there, petroleum are there. So we always find onshore and offshore. Onshore petroleum wells and offshore petroleum wells. Onshore and offshore andre enu? Onshore andaga, when you are having that continental part, land alli what you extract the petroleum, we call it as onshore. Sedimentary rocks irutalva. So whatever petroleum you extract from the land area, like Saudi Arabia, coastal, we refer them as onshore. So when you extract the petroleum from the deep of oceans, ಸಮುದ್ರ ಕೆಳಗಡೆಯಿಂದ ನೀವೇನು extract ಮಾಡ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ offshore ಅಂತೀವಿ. So where do you find technology is more required, in offshore or onshore? Offshore. ಯಾವ್ದು ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? That's what he has asked. Once you are having a framework, you can write very good answers on that. So wherever you are having fossil fuels, wherever you are having sedimentary rocks, so you will be having good amount of content. So land alli estirutte fossils, so limited, but in oceans, rivers, we will have huge fossils. So huge reserves will be there in the oceans. Very small reserves will be there on the land areas. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಮೈನಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ oceans, are they safe? When you do mining activities or when you take extraction of petroleum from the oceans, is it making ocean safe or is it polluting the ocean waters? Polluting. So ocean pollution andaga national policy barutta athwa international policy barutta? See the complexity. See the complexity. Even if you know the basic common sense, without making in-depth analysis, you can write. So land alli, if you are extracting petroleum from Assam, do you need to take permission from any other world? No. But illi you have to take. Pollution is concerned, marine pollution, everything's are there. So these are the things which you should remember when you're writing. So this question was asked for 15 marks. Onshore alli enagutte, offshore alli enagutte, where you are having resource, where you are having that technology, abundancy, right, pollution issues, international part. Here you don't have to take any such. So such questions you will expect. Right. Then apart from that, we also had something called as earthquake. The largest earthquake of this 10 years. So when you talk about earthquakes, since from 1900 alli, from there to 2025, more than 9 magnitude earthquakes were only 5 from 1900 up to 2025. And this year we recorded the 6th largest earthquake on the earth from 1900 to 2025, and this was in Russia, Kamchatka island, and this is something around 8.8 magnitude, and this triggered tsunami. So expected question was on earthquake and also on tsunami. So they have asked question on tsunami, and regarding earthquake they have asked question something called as plate tectonic theory. Plate tectonic theory. So that's why if you are following your current affairs from 1 year to 2 years, easily you can decide what type of questions can be asked in UPSC. So you have to have that flow. current affairs ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರಬೇಕು. Then only it will be easy for you to make a data. Is it clear? No. So it is not unpredictable. You can predict what type of questions can be asked in that part. So energy scenario idde irutte, earthquake, volcanoes will be there, and other human geography also you will find that. Right. Okay. Now, moving down to other aspects here. So when you talk about the previous year questions, apart from the last year, right? So this is how the questions are asked in the context of UPSC. Bring out the socio-economic effect of introduction of railways in different countries of the world. 150 words, 10 marks. Socio-economic effects of the introduction of railways in different countries. Right. Then discuss the consequence of climate change on the food security in tropical countries. Again, 150 words. Right. Now, why is today world confronted with crisis availability of access to fresh water resources? Now, what do you mean by resources? What do you mean by resources? See, whatever I am discussing, they all are important for your studies. The first word which I started is your geography. Whatever I am discussing, entire thing is geography. Syllabus in the horgade yavadu illa. I don't have time to complete syllabus. Then how I can talk something which is out of syllabus? How do you define resources? How do you define resources? Resources andre enu? Fast. Resources. Okay, now before resources, there is something called as region, or we use something called as regional geography. Regional geography. Right. Now, when you are talking about geography, you should remember one thing, that I'll come back to that slide only. When you read geography, what has to be studied in geography first? Geography le eno odbeku UPSC ge. What exactly is geography? You don't have to give exact definition. So if you involve, then the discussion will be good enough. And these all are, I'll tell you that from this discussion only 1 or 2 questions will be then your mains. What should be read in geography? Bhugoladalli ಏನು ಓದ್ಕೋಬೇಕು? You knew that physical geography. What has to be studied here? What is geography? Study of Earth? Study of Earth, right? See, keep your mind open. ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದಾಗ ನೀವು ಏನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಓದಿರ್ತೀರ, you want to impose on that. Leave that. You keep your mind blank and try to absorb the things. So geography is nothing but study of Earth. Right. Now Earth, when you are studying, what has to be studied here now? ಏನು ಓದ್ಕೋಬೇಕು Earth ಅಲ್ಲಿ? Changes in the climate aspect. So you have to read something called as climate. So directly you will read climate. Ecology nu ottira. Okay. So that image is not clear. So when you talk about Earth, first you should understand how the Earth is formed. What are the landforms on the Earth? What are the rocks? How they keep on changing. So you have to understand something about how the Earth was formed. Then its landforms, then its soil, its rocks, etc. And all these keep on changing. They are not permanent, they keep on changing. So this study, we refer that as geomorphology. Geo means earth and morphology means changes. So the first section will be on this. We refer that as geomorphology. Now when we say changes, there has to be some reasons. Sumne change agalvalla. So when you are having friendship with one person, then suddenly you develop an enmity. There has to be some reason why you developed an enmity. Yes or no? Right. So suddenly you stop talking with him. So there has to be some reason behind that. So here also we are having certain reasons, and that reasons we study in theories like plate tectonic theory, continental drift theory, endogenetic forces, exogenetic forces. So those are the reasons which are responsible for the changing nature of the earth. Right. Then climate. So you have to understand something which is associated with atmosphere. What exactly is this atmosphere? How this has got evolved? It is not the same atmosphere. It has evolved from something. What it consists of? Temperature variation, pressure variations, all those things we will read here. Winds, jet streams, all those we will read in this atmosphere. Right. Then we also have to read something about oceans, the water bodies. Right. So hence it is about oceanography. Oceanography, right? So all these three combinedly we refer that as physical geography. All these three we refer them as physical geography. World physical geography. So physical geography alli you will read about geomorphology. Then second you will read about climatology. This climatology. Then third, you will read about oceans, oceanography, 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 right? So hence these are referred as the three important spheres of the earth. So this is called as the first sphere, lithosphere. Litho means rock and sphere means circle. So this is the first sphere of the earth, lithosphere. And this is the second sphere of the earth, that is atmosphere. Atmosphere. And the third sphere will be where the water is dominant. We refer that as hydrosphere. So these are referred as the three spheres of the earth. Hydrosphere. Right. So we have to make an assessment of these three: lithosphere, atmosphere, and then hydrosphere. Three spheres of the earth. So three spheres includes a very dominant portion of physical geography. Right. So we will be discussing these portions. So we refer them as three spheres of the earth. Now earth andaga idaste irutta. What else you will find? Population. Then do you people have any enmity with trees and animals? Flora and fauna. Right. So there is something which is called as life part, which includes flora and fauna. Now in this context, if you talk about the animal part, when you talk about animal part here, right? When you talk about something called as life activities, where we talk about human beings are there. Human beings are there. Then in separate we refer them as flora and fauna. Right. Now when you read human beings, flora and fauna. Now if you take certain regions like Western Ghats. Western Ghat, is it confined to only one state? One state confined idya? Illa. When you talk about floods and droughts, is it confined to only one state? When you talk about floods, when you talk about droughts, Iga Karnataka, Maharashtra, you are having flood issues. Now entire Karnataka and Maharashtra is having floods. Only small areas of Karnataka and small areas of Maharashtra will be having the floods. A small area, we refer them as regions, drought prone regions, flood prone regions, Asia Pacific regions. Now have you heard about Hyderabad Karnataka region? Hyderabad Karnataka region. So here we will make a regional approach. Now what is region then? What is region? Region, yes. Whether it is wrong also don't have problem. Region means flood prone areas, drought prone areas. So these are the geographical areas which are having homogeneous characteristics, same type of characteristics irtave, whether it is advantage or whether it is disadvantage. So such types of geographical areas, we refer them as regions. Now these regions, are they confined to political boundaries? ಈ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೀಮಿತವಾಗಿರ್ತಾವ ಅದು? No. So they do not have political boundaries. So in geography, when we talk about regions, so regions are the geographical area which are having homogeneous characteristics. So homogeneous means uniformity. Same set of advantage and same set of disadvantages will be there. So if you take Western Ghat, right? So Western Ghat is associated with landslides. So it is spread in 6 states. Now, when you say landslides in Western Ghats, so a part of Karnataka is also there in Western Ghats. So entire Karnataka will have a landslide. Only that area. So that is called as region. Now, is it confined only to Karnataka? So such areas we refer them as regions which are not confined to political boundaries. So we refer them as region. And this study is called as regional geography. Right? So when you talk about that area which are homogeneous in characteristics, which are having same type or uniform type of advantages and disadvantages. Now these can be international areas also, like Southeast Asia region, Indo-Pacific region. Now Indo-Pacific region andaga onde country barutta adralli many countries will be involved in that. So they may be spread in countries. So they may be international regions. Or in India also, we may find them confined to 2 or 3 states like Western Ghat region. Or sometimes it can be confined to only one state like Rayalaseema, Hyderabad, Karnataka region. So Hyderabad, Karnataka odvaga, you will get a region there, Hyderabad, Karnataka region. So it may be confined to only one state also, like Hyderabad, Karnataka region. Right. So hence there is a huge thing to be studied in regional approach rather than physical part. So regional geography talks about the regional approach, which says that any geographical area which are having homogeneous characteristics, which are having same set of advantages, same set of disadvantages. So that's why we say flood prone regions, drought prone regions, right? Landslide regions of India, which are not confined to any political boundaries. So they are not confined to any political boundaries. So these are the things which you should keep in the mind. Ithar mele question tumba sala kelidane avanu, regional and regional part, right? Region. Now when you are talking about growing of rice cultivation is seen in only Karnataka, area of Karnataka, area of Tamil Nadu. So that is called as gross, or we say rice growing regions of India. So regional approach is there. Now if you talk about minerals, iron ore deposit, do you find only in Karnataka? You find in Andhra. So we refer that as iron ore regions, mineral regions of India. Right. So hence regional approach is very, very important in geography. So anything which is having no political boundaries, we refer them as the region. Right. So this is one perspective. No political confinement region. Now this region includes many type of things which we refer them as resources. Now the regions will include resources. Now what do you mean by resources? ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲಗಳು ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು? ಎಲ್ಲ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲಿನಾ? Resources means the same, ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲಗಳು. So resources means that ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲಗಳಿಂದ ಏನಾದರೂ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ? Economic benefit. So anything which provides economic benefit, we refer them as resources, right? So anything which provides economic benefit, anything which provides economic benefit, we refer them as resources. Economic benefit. Now, why this is important? Because region always depend on resources, mineral resources, water resources, human resources. They always have to be developed, right? It is simple. See, a river is flowing here. A river is flowing. So this river is called as a source of a water. A flowing river is called as a source of a water. But if you construct a dam on it, so you will use the water for irrigation, you will use the water for drinking, you will use the water for generation of hydroelectricity. So it means that you have converted rivers from source to resource. You have converted river from source to resource. Now, the moment when you have converted that into resource, this is something which is providing economic benefit to the human beings there. So that's why we have to emphasize on resource developments in the regions. Now, if you talk about land, this entire area is a land. This entire area is called as a source. Now, this entire land can be used for agriculture. Ella land agriculture use madakagalla. So in that, this portion you have used right. So in this portion you have used for agriculture. This portion they are used for forest. So this is entire land only, but we can classify them into two ways. We can say that this is agriculture resource, this is forest resource, sampanmooಲಗಳು, which help in economic development. Right. So resources are also very important. So that's why we have to make mineral resources, land resources, soil resources, human resources, which has to be studied as a part of geography. So hence regional geography is something very important in the context of your studies. Right. So this is what you should keep in the mind, resources and region. Now, sampanmooಲಗಳು ಅಂದಾಗ, the resources what we are developing from the sources, here technology is involved. Yes or no? Technology is involved. Now, when you talk about the technology part here, when you talk about the technology which is involved here, so this technology is something which is very important in the context of the studies. Iga saline water ide. Ocean water is a source. When you make desalination, then ocean water can be used for drinking. So by using a technology, you have converted ocean water from source to resource. So 10 marks question he will ask on that. How ocean can be converted from source to resource by using different methods of desalination process. So first you should have an idea what is source, what is resource, what is region. Then your geography will become very easy. Right. Now here in the region we find human beings are there. Now, what are the economic activities associated with the human beings? Human beings ಅಂದಾಗ ನೀವು ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಗಳು ಅಂತೀರಲ್ವಾ, what type of activities they perform in India? Agriculture, then industries. So you have to make in-depth analysis of agriculture, policies, ಯಾವ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಇದೆ, irrigation ಏನಿದೆ, soils ಏನಿದೆ, ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್ ಹೇಗಿದೆ, India you have to study. Then industries gain ಬೇಕು. Raw materials, minerals are required. Then land, then labor, then capital, policies. This is what you have to read in your geography and also in your economy. Agriculture, industries, mineral distribution. ಯಾಕೆ ಓದಬೇಕು for this? You can't set up industry wherever you find. You can't set up iron and steel industry in Bangalore. Set ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ? No. So reasons for that. That is something which is asked in geography. Is it clear? So this is what we have to study in the context of geography. So always remember, one is physical geography and second one is regional geography. In regional geography, we always talk about region and we always talk about resources, resource development, water resource, land resource, soil resource, forest resources, which provides economic benefit. Now, resource development ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದಾಗ we always make a planning. And that is what planning is important in the context of India. Planning ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದಾಗ you will make a set of conditions, you will propose something, then you will take policies, then you will make a blueprint of that. We call it as planning in India, right? Now planning in India andaga, if it is updated technology, it will be good enough. Now updated technology andaga, what you can put in planning? What new technology you can put in planning? Artificial intelligence, drones. Now this question was asked for 15 marks. 2025 last 2 days munche exam aitala. So plannings are important in India. Plannings, why? Because to develop resources. Now why resources? Because they provide economic benefit. Now how artificial intelligence will benefit in the planning? This is what you won't get in the textbooks. You have to use your thinking capacities. Then only you can write very good answers. The same question was asked for 15 marks in UPSC last 3 days back. Is it clear? So you should have a holistic approach. Then only you can talk on this. So regions mele, they have asked one question for 15 marks, one question on 10 marks. So once I complete that, I'll give you the PYQ also, how the questions were asked in the examination. Is it clear now? So you should have this. You should have this. Region andre enu, sampanmoolgal andre enu. Now when you develop resources, these resources, are they in good conditions? You are taking a river, you can take a land, you have started cultivating crops, you are using chemical fertilizers. Soil, is it maintaining fertility? Soil, is it maintaining fertility? No. It means that many resources are depleting. Sampanmoolgal antivalla, they are depleting. Now that's the reason why we have used something called as sustainable development. Now what do you mean by sustainable development? Sustira Vivritti. Right. So it means that you should also future development andaga, wrong answer. You should also reap the benefit. See, it is just like not your savings. In your bank savings ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರ next generation ಗಂತ ಆ ಥರ ಅಲ್ಲ. New benefit use ಮಾಡಿ next generation should also reap the benefit. Then only we call it as sustainable development. If you keep it for next generation without enjoying by yourself, then how you call it as a development? New use ಮಾಡಿ, you also get benefit of that. And next generation should also get the benefit of that without any degradation. Without any degradation. We refer that as sustainable development. Now when you talk about sustainable development, it is always associated with 3 components. One is Arthika Abhivruddhi, economic development is required. Then second one is environment concern. Environment concern. And third thing is whatever program you are taking that will have to work on reducing poverty, that will reduce all type of social issues. So hence, yavaglu ನೀವು sustainable development ಓದ್ವಾಗ you should have 3 components. One is environmental concern, economic benefit and social equity. So you ಮೂರನ್ನು satisfy ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೇನೆ we call it as sustainable development. Any concept, ಯಾವುದೋ ನೀವು ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ, whatever concept you are studying, in the sustainable development, 3 factors are there. One is economic development, environmental concern and social equity. ಬಡತನ ನಿರ್ಮೂಲನೆ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, or providing good amount of life expectancy. So all these, so in India and world we are having women's are there, children's are there, old age people. So all these when they get benefit, then only we call it as sustainable development. Arthikavagi abhiruddhi, then only we call it as sustainable development. Environmental concern, then only we call it as sustainable development, or else we don't call it as a sustainable development. Every question, every topic is associated with sustainable development. So that's why we are moved from chemical fertilizers to organic farming. That is an example of sustainable development. Iga groundwater, we use it for drinking. Now if you don't recharge the groundwater, then that is not called as sustainable usage. Recharge the groundwater and then use. We call it as sustainable groundwater management. When you are cutting 3 trees, say cutting trees is not a crime, but along with that you have to plant the trees. That is called as sustainable forest management. ಈ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ನೀವು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ you can write very good answers. So sustainable development always consists of 3 components. You fix this in your brain. The moment when somebody asks sustainable development andaga, you should whether it is satisfying 3 concepts or not. Economic, environment and social issues. ಮೂರನ್ನು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ then we can say yes, we are in the sustainable development. Now, in context of India, do we need development or sustainable development? ಆ ಥರ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಫ್ರಮ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಡೆವಲಪಿಂಗ್ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ರೆವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್. ಗ್ರೀನ್ ರೆವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಸಸ್ಟೈನೇಬಲ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್? First green revolution is associated with only development. So that's why chemical fertilizers, pesticides. So first green revolution talks about only development. Now second green revolution we are talking about sustainable development, where we have to emphasize on organic farming, where you have to talk about small land holdings also. So understand the difference. So in India we need development or sustainable development? ಆ ಥರ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಸಸ್ಟೈನೇಬಲ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಕೀ ಫಾರ್ ಸರ್ವೈವಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಿವಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್. ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಸುಸ್ಥಿರ. ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಸಸ್ಟೈನೇಬಲ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ದೆನ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸರ್ವೈವ್. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ವಿದೌಟ್ ಸಸ್ಟೈನಬಿಲಿಟಿ, ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎನಿ ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್. Is that clear? So these are something which are important in the context of your studies. Now, to have a sustainable development, don't you think that planning is required? Without planning, can you develop sustainability? ಇದೇ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ಅವನು. ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಲ್ಲ ಇವು. You have to make connectivity. What is development? What is sustainable development? How you can use your technology in making that. Is it clear? Okay. So this is something which you have to understand in the context of your studies. Right. Now, when you talk about all the aspects here, you should remember that the questions which are asked in UPSC are also based on that. Now, I am not expecting answers, but try to understand that. Food security in the tropical countries. Now, tropical countries andre yavu? Nearby? Okay. Now, when you talk about this region, so this is Tropic of Cancer, this is Tropic of Capricorn. ಈ ಪ್ರದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೇನಂತೀವಿ ಟ್ರಾಪಿಕಲ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Right. Food security, consequence of climate change on food security. Now, tropical countries are always associated with issues like droughts, floods, forest fires. So, droughts, floods agadrinda, do we have good amount of food availability there? So, they will be having major problems. So, first you should understand what is the impact of climate change on the tropical countries. Droughts antankoli, floods antankoli, cloud burstings antankoli, where they are affecting the food part. Right. So first you have to understand what is the impact of climate change on which area? Tropical. Now, which are tropical countries? Is India a part of tropical country? So if you see India, that peninsular part of India is tropical. Right. Now, if you are cultivating, say, cotton, sugarcane is grown in Maharashtra. It is called as tropical crop. Coffee is grown in Andaman Nicobar. Some areas, rubber in Kerala, they are called as tropical crops. Right. So they are talking about food crops, food security, like grains which are required. So climate change on tropical countries and how it is affecting food security of that area. Right. Now, why is the world confronted with crisis availability of access of freshwater resources? So what are freshwater resources? Freshwater resources, ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲಗಳು ಯಾವುವು ಮನುಷ್ಯನಿಗೆ? Rivers, lakes, ponds, streams, ground. Are they in good condition? See this. What is the world confronted? ಏನು issues ಇದೆ? Confronted with crisis. Now, what do you mean by crisis? See, you are having a salary of 1 lakh rupees. It does not mean that you are a poor person. You are rich only. But if you are not managed it correctly, then last week you will have a shortage of money. Then you don't say that I am a poor person. You say I am going with crisis. Now, crisis is the result of good management or mismanagement. Artha aita? So here mismanagement of water is leading to the crisis. So this can be corrected if you are having good policy. This can be corrected when you are having good policy. If your salary, if you organize in proper way, then you won't have any crisis. So hence it talks about one thing which is called as mismanagement. See, there will always be issues associated, one with naturally and one with mismanagement. Now, natural issues, can we control them? Natural issues, we can't stop them. We can reduce the impact of that. But mismanagement, we can control. So that is what it requires in geography. Mismanagement, ನೀವು ಹೆಂಗೆ ತಡೆಗಟ್ಟಬಹುದು? What policies you can use in them? Then only it becomes more. Almost all 70% of the questions requires your basic common sense in geography. Right. Then comment on the resource potential. So what is resource? Again, ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲಗಳು. Resource potential of coastlines along India. Coastlines along India, right? Now, along the coastlines of India, what type of resources you will find? Fast. Coastlines. Without having your study of geography, you tell me. Coastline ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ತೀರಗಳು, ಸಮುದ್ರ ತೀರ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. What benefits you will get? Fish, then pearls, then fast. Salt, perfect. Fast. Petroleum, perfect. Ports, export imports, mangroves, right? So huge benefits are there. India's coastline, what is India's total coastline? 11,098 kilometers. Leave that now. 7,516 hoitu. Now it is 11,098. We are not added. We have used technology. So initially when we talk about the coastlines of India, it was something like this. So there are many areas where the coastlines were like inlets. So we used to have the coastline calculation something like this. We used to calculate with straight line. Now this is also coast. So now they are using this area also. By adding all these, we are moved from 7,516 to 11,098. Now at present, India's total coastline has moved from 7,516 to 11,098 kilometers. Data update ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Current affairs is very important. So now if you are writing again 7,516, it is gone, please. So it is 11,098 kilometers. Is it clear now? Now what are the major problems associated with the coastal areas? Tsunamis, then floods, then ಏನ್ issues ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ? Submergence, sea water rising. ಅಷ್ಟು ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. Do you need some extra work here? This is what they ask. For how many marks? 15 marks. So you can draw a coastline of India. Fishing activities, deltas, ports, petroleum, onshore, offshore, right? International trade. You have mentioned that part. Total coastline is 11,098 kilometers. What are the major issues? Tsunamis are there, submergence is there, erosion is there. Now in the context of climate change, is it a good sign? Melting of the water, more sea level, more amount of submergence. It will have an impact on all these. Delta mungade adre you don't have water, right? Tsunamis, more dangerous one. That is what required. So you don't need in-depth analysis also. Basic common sense, right? Now in the same way, discuss the meaning of color-coded weather in the context of cyclones. So when the cyclones are there, they are having different. Indian Meteorological Department, they use different color codes. Like traffic signal alli use ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, red means you have to stop. Green means you have to go. Orange means be prepared. So in the same way, they are also having the codes. So if it is dangerous one, they will say green, red. If it is less, then they will say green. So those will help us to make arrangement in the context of disaster, right? Now, discuss the natural resources. See this, natural resources. What are natural resources? We always talk about natural resources like water, land, right? So we refer them as natural resource. Potential of Deccan Trap. Deccan Trap andre yadu? See, when you talk about Deccan Trap, so this region is Deccan Trap, right? Now resource potential. Potential means sadhyategalu, possibilities are there. Now what are the natural resources are in the Deccan Trap? What we can find in Deccan Trap? Forest. That Deccan Trap has created soil, and that soil is known for cotton. That is also resource. Minerals, mineral resources, right? Ports in that areas. So these all are called as resources. Now Deccan Trap andre eno? Cotton cultivation yaake agutte? Because of black soil, and black soil is known for cotton cultivation, right? So you don't grow in any other soil. That is also natural part. Then mineral resources in that areas, ports in that areas, fishing activities in that area. So we refer them as natural resources of that, right? So this is how we are to make a data in the context of your studies. Now Another aspects. What are the forces that influence ocean currents? Factual data. So we'll discuss when we take oceanography. Again, it is for 15 marks. How ocean currents are there. And always it talks about something called as fishing industry. Now, fishing industry is a resource. So when you catch fish, a person will get economic benefit. So idu kuda one sampanmoola alva. So always geography is associated with resources, whether it is fish resource, land resource, or animal resources. Right. Troposphere is very significant atmosphere. Again, it is a factual data. So they will ask question on the fact part. Differentiate the causes of landslides in the Himalayas and Western Ghats. Now both are different. The landslides in Himalayas are different from the landslides in the Western Ghats. So you have to understand how they are different from each other. Right. Then mention the global occurrence of volcanic eruption in the year 2021 and their impact on regional environment. Now, anytime, when you find volcanic activity on Jwalamukhi Vispota Adaga, will have an impact on regional area. The ash, the smoke, is it good? Pollution agate. Dust will be there. Then when the volcanic eruption takes place, the magma reaches to the surface, mineral resources get exposed. It will create a sceneries where we find tourism activities will be there. And when the volcanic activities are there, magma falls, loss of biodiversity, loss of people, loss of forest areas, forest fire catch agate. So these all are the issues associated with volcanic activities. So 50% of your textbook and 50% of your basic common sense is sufficient for you to write UPSC. Thinking capacity, the moment when you develop a prospect of thinking capacity, you will write very good answers. You bari textbook notes odkondre kasta agutte. Is that clear? So you should develop that capacity of writing. So the same climate change and other parts are asked in this part. Human activities and all those. So this is how the questions are asked in UPSC perspectives, right? Now, to have a data on all these, you should have a complete idea about the world map. Every day you have to bring your atlas to the classroom. Last, you don't read with maps. Starting in Dana, you can have an access to the map. So that will help you in your international relations. IR ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ ನಿಮಗೆ? International relations. So when you talk about international relations, we always talk about something called as a study of a region now. Study of a region. Now when you talk about South China Sea, is it created recently? South China Sea, ಇವಾಗ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು ಅದು? South China Sea, is it existing from long year or it is now only? Okay, Doklam region, is it created now or it is from since long? Doklam region ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. Okay. Any area, ಈಗ ಇಸ್ರೇಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗೋಲನ್ ಹೈಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದಿರಾ? Any area which is disputed. Disputed areas you will always study in your international relations. And that is what we refer that as geopolitics. Geopolitics. So in international relations, we always read something called as geopolitics. Right. Now, geopolitics is always associated with map work. So those are the areas which are existing. Munche intane idave, but recently they are become conflict. Now, Cambodia issue, Hindu and Buddhism. So Cambodia, is it from today or it is from very long time? But why it has been started? Because of some political issues. So such geographical areas where the political development has been seen. ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವೇನು ಓದ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಫೇರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಅ ಜಿಯೋಪಾಲಿಟಿಕ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರೀಸೆಂಟ್, ಎನಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ or any geographical area which has become very important in present international politics. Now, very good example of this is, here we are having something called as Gulf of Mexico. Now, Trump enantarandre, he wants to convert that from Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. Now, if you want to change that from Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, that is called a geopolitical consideration. So something which is existing because of some development which is in the news, we refer that as geopolitics. Now, Arctic is there since from Earth has been formed, but because of melting of the ice, Arctic has become one of the area where many countries are reaching to the Arctic. We refer that as geopolitics of Arctic. So this study, what we do in international relations, we refer that as geopolitics. Geopolitics of Brahmaputra between India and China. Constructing of a dam is a geopolitical consideration between India and China. See, I'm not creating fear. I'm giving you the way how you have to make your approach. So IRLE emphasis should be given on geopolitics. Now, what is geopolitics? Any geographical area. It may be mountain, it may be land, it may be any water body. They're existing there since from millions of years. But why suddenly they have become important? Due to political changes, due to economic resources, due to change in the population. So such areas which have become a conflict between different countries, they want to acquire that. They want to acquire that. So we refer that as geopolitics. And that is what you have to read in the context of your studies. Right. So geopolitics ಓದಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ you have to have an idea about the map. Now at present, how many continents are there? 7 continents are there, right? So North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Australia. Now you are having Russia here, you are having Russia also here. Now this is Asian Russia and this is European Russia. Now what separates European Russia from Asian Russia? You don't have any political boundary in between. Right. So this is how you have to understand. There is something called as Ural Mountain and Ural Sea, Ural River. So this mountain is called as Ural Mountain. A mountain. So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು geography map ಇಂದ ಓದ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. So you will have Ural Mountain and here Ural Sea will be there. Now, which is this water body? This is called as Caspian Sea. Caspian Sea. Now, which is this water body? This is Black Sea. This is Mediterranean Sea. Mediterranean Sea. Right. Now, where do you find Red Sea? Right. So here you are having Red Sea. Map ali, he will ask only such questions. Red Sea. Now we always find about the Israel and Houthis. Now here you will find the Houthis in this particular area. Yemen, Oman, Red Sea. Right. Now this is where we talk about different areas also, like Hormuz Strait, Bab al-Mandab, etc. So these all are geographies. Today you might be finding it difficulty, but if you practice, it becomes easy. Now, idu bittu enadru madak chances idya? If you are seriously preparing for even Karnataka KPSC also, it is required. And these studies, what we do, we refer that as geopolitical consideration. Now, this is Caspian Sea, this is Black Sea, right? Then this is Red Sea, this is called as, this is Arabian Peninsula, right? This is Persian Gulf. So all those areas are very, very important in the context of your studies. So these all are referred as disputed seas, South China Sea and all those. Now this is where we find the earthquake was stuck. So every day you have to spend your time for maps. So 7 continents are there. Now, recently in the current affairs, they always talk about an 8th continent which has been identified. Current affairs. Which is that 8th continent? 8th continent. We have something called as Zealandia. So this is referred as the 8th continent of the world. Zealandia means this region, regionally. Now, which is this country? New Zealand. Right. So this entire region is Zealandia. And only 4 to 5% of that is visible, which is New Zealand. 4 to 5% is visible, which we call it as New Zealand, and rest of the thing is Zealandia, which is a new continent of the world. So ee thara questions on kehtane in your prelims as well as in the mains perspectives. Right. Now, these countries are called as Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Now, suddenly if we ask, which is the only continent where all the three, that is Equator, Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn passes through? Which continent? Now, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? Which is the only continent where all the three, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn and Equator passes? It is Africa. Africa is the only continent where we find the three, that is Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn and Equator passes through. We don't find any other such continents. Is that clear? So there will be many questions like that. We also find certain rivers where this river cuts the equator 2 times. This question was also asked. A river which cuts the equator 2 times. Which is that river? Congo River in Africa. Congo River, which cuts the equator 2 times. Congo River. 2 ಸರ್ತಿ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಭೂಮಧ್ಯ ರೇಖೆಯನ್ನ, equatorನ. So such types of questions can be asked. Right. And here whatever forest you find, we refer them as tropical rainforest or equatorial rainforest. And crops, here we refer them as tropical crops. So rubber cultivation in Andaman Nicobar, rubber cultivation in Indonesia is a type of tropical crop. Right. So always you should have an idea about these maps. ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟು ನೋಡ್ತಿರೋ that will be good enough for you to make in references. So tropical crops, tropical countries, and these parts. Done. Right. Now this is how you have to make an assessment of the countries also. Just go through this map. Not now, but you have to remember. Now when you talk about Greenland, now USA says that he wants to purchase the Greenland. He wants to purchase the Greenland. Now if you see Greenland, Greenland is geologically part of North America. Geologically means a plate is there. It is a part of North America. But politically, who owns this Greenland? So here you are having a country which is called as the Denmark. So this Greenland is owned by Denmark. So this Greenland is part and parcel of Denmark politically. Even though it is very far away from that. So even today, Denmark controls Greenland. So that's why we say Greenland as a part of Denmark. Politically, Rajkiyavagi, it is controlled by Denmark. So US is having some of its army here. So as a part of strategy, he wants to put this Greenland as a part of USA, where the Denmark people are not willing to give it land. So ee thara questions gal bartave. You have to have an idea about that. So it is geologically, it is a part of North America. Geologically means if you take this plate, so this is a part of North American continent, North American part. Geologically, but it does not. It is something like this. You are having 2 or 3 floors. Now one floor it is in your premises and it is purchased by some other person. So you are not the owner of that. So geologically it is a part of your, but it is owned by somebody else. So that is how the Denmark and the system. So you should be good enough in knowing that. See, this entire area is Russia. So here you are having Ural mountain, which separates the Russia from this region. Now this entire region we refer that as Siberia. Siberian winds, Siberian cranes, Siberian parts. So we refer this as Siberian parts. So please understand this. Now this region is there: Eritrea, Ethiopia, Somalia, this area. What do you call this? Have you heard about something called as Horn of Africa? So this region is called as Horn of Africa, right? So in your box, when you are making some notes on that, try to make a notes on that. So you make a box something like this. You mention Horn of Africa. Horn of Africa. Then how many countries are there in the Horn of Africa? So you'll find these: Eritrea, Ethiopia, Somalia. So they are all in the current affairs. Questions will be asked from that. So this area is called as Horn of Africa. This area is called as Horn of Africa. And this is Arabian Peninsula. So Arabian Peninsula consists of Yemen, Oman, Saudi Arabia, and these. Now Yemen is associated with the Houthis, Red Sea. Where do you find Red Sea? This is Red Sea. So many vessels which are traveling here, they also threaten that the political fiber which has been laid in the Red Sea will be cut. So if they cut, then communication will be disrupted. And India is also having a trade from here. So that's why, to avoid this, we have initiated an international route in G20 current affairs. So to avoid this, we have initiated a route which will be moving away from that. Can you name that? Current affairs, Ali. Have you heard about this? India, Middle East, European Economic Corridor. Don't get much stressed. We'll try to cover them, but you have to understand these terms. So India, Middle East, European Economic Corridor. Now the idea is that from here they will be moving in this portion, avoiding this Red Sea. So if you avoid the Red Sea, then much of the trade facilities can be done here. So avoiding this, we are initiating something called as India Middle East Economic Corridor. Now the major problem with this is the Israel war, because Israel is also part of that. So this is how you have to make your studies. They may ask a question: India Middle East Economic Corridor benefit any day? Why we are, and what are the major issues associated with that? So it is alternate to the road which passes from the Red Sea. It will not pass from the Red Sea. It will avoid the Red Sea. It will be from India and it will reach to Russian part, St. Petersburg. So here you are having St. Petersburg. So it will go and reach to the St. Petersburg. So it is connecting Mumbai to St. Petersburg. So St. Petersburg is in Russia. Now you don't have to surprise Russia ikade antilla. You will find Russia here also. So this is European Russia where it will be connecting. Is it clear? So you should have a complete idea. Then only you can write very good answers. So, because when you are reading, you will find only Russia on this side, how it will move on and reach that part. So it will connect the St. Petersburg of Russian part. Right. Okay. Now this is the island which I was talking about. We refer this as Zealandia, a new continent. Zealandia. And 6% of that is only visible and remaining part is on the water. So only two regions are there: New Zealand and New Caledonia. You will find on the surface New Caledonia and New Zealand, and entire thing is in the submerged portion. So that's why they say meet the 8th continent of the world, as it has satisfied all the characteristics, right? So on the continent, all the characteristics have been mentioned here. Right. Now oceans. Now when you talk about oceans, how many oceans are there on the earth to be studied? How many oceans are there? The largest ocean is called as Pacific Ocean. Right. After that, you are having Indian Ocean. Then we are having Atlantic Ocean. Right. So 1, 2, 3. Then we are having Arctic Ocean. Now, which is the 5th ocean? The area which is surrounding Antarctica. So here you are having an ocean called the Southern Ocean. Southern Ocean. Now Southern Ocean is 5th ocean of the earth. So 5 oceans are there: Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Arctic Ocean and Southern Ocean. Now, if you see the Southern Ocean is nothing, bare ocean alla. It is a water from Indian Ocean. It is a water from Pacific Ocean, and it is a water from Atlantic Ocean. So all the three waters which has accumulated around Antarctica, we refer that as Southern Ocean. So Southern Ocean consists of waters of three oceans: Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean and Indian Ocean. Combinedly, that area we refer that as Southern Ocean. Right. So this area which is surrounding Antarctica, we refer that as Southern Ocean. So 5 oceans you should keep in the mind. Right. Now, we always come across something called as the straits. What do you mean by strait? What do you mean by straits? So 2 large water bodies are there. And if they are connected by small water body, we refer them as straits. So this is Arctic Ocean and this is Pacific Ocean. So right. So we find 2 big oceans are there and they are connected by the small water body. And the small water body which is connecting 2 large water bodies, we refer them as the strait. Now here, Arctic Ocean and Pacific Oceans are connected by Bering Strait. Right. So here we are having Bering Strait, which connects the Arctic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. Right. Then again we are having Strait of Malacca, which connects Indian Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. Indian Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. Then we are having Strait of Hormuz, current affairs, which connects the Persian Gulf to the Indian Ocean. Or here you are having Arabian Sea, and this is Bay of Bengal. Busiest one. Then Bab al-Mandab, which connects Red Sea to Arabian Sea. Or here you are having something, a small water body which is called as Gulf of Aden. We'll discuss that later. But generally we say Red Sea is connected to Arabian Sea by Bab al-Mandab. Right. So these are very important. Suez Canal is natural or man-made? Man-made. Suez Canal is man-made. Now it connects which 2 water bodies? Red Sea and Mediterranean Sea. Suez Canal connects Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea. Right. So this is Mediterranean Sea. This is Suez Canal, this is Red Sea, and this is Arabian Sea. Now here we used to have trade routes like this. So the vessels used to go here, Red Sea, Suez Canal, and they can reach to Europe. Now this was having a problem with Houthis. Dangerous route. And they have to pay more for Suez Canal, man-made. Tariffs will be there. Now to avoid that, we have started something called as the India Middle East European Economic Corridor. Alternate to this, we are developing this. 2 things are there. Economic wise, second one is safety. Economic and safety. So hence we are emphasizing on something called as India Middle East European Economic Corridor. So these are the ways in which you have to understand geography. So once you go with that, then I don't think you will have any difficulty. You have to upgrade. You have to upgrade your studies. Right. So here we are having Panama Canal. Now Panama Canal is also dispute. Panama Canal is also dispute. Now USA again says that he wants to control back this Panama Canal. Now Panama Canal is developed on Panama Isthmus. Now here we are having one term called as strait. Now one more term is there which we call it as isthmus. Isthmus andre ಏನು? Instead of water, if a small land is connecting 2 big lands, we refer that as isthmus. Now here Panama Isthmus connects North America to the South America. So isthmus means small land stretch, small land which connects 2 big lands. Connects 2 big lands. We refer that as isthmus. So isthmus is different and strait is different. Strait means small water body which is connecting two large water bodies. We refer that as straits. A small land which is connecting two large lands, we refer them as isthmus. Isthmus of Panama is connecting North American continent to the South American continent. Is it clear? And here, to move from this area, which is Pacific Ocean, this is Atlantic Ocean. Now, if you want to move from Pacific to the Atlantic Ocean, in the previous years, they have to cover all this and reach here. It was time consuming. So that's why in the year 1914, technology was used by USA, and then they developed a connectivity from these two areas. They used the connectivity from Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean, and this is man-made canal, and we refer that as Panama Canal. Now Panama Canal connects which two oceans? Pacific Ocean and Atlantic Ocean. Panama Canal connects the two oceans, Pacific Ocean and this is Atlantic Ocean. Atlantic Ocean. Now Panama Isthmus and Panama Canal. Now both are in the news. Geopolitics of Panama Canals, geopolitics of Panama Isthmus, because Trump is running behind them. He wants to take it back. He says that this Panama was built by USA. As the idea is that, no, why he wants to take it is politically different. He says that 90% of Chinese influence is there. 90% of Chinese influence is there. And second, he says that it generates revenue. See, when you are giving somebody to move from that area, you have to pay some tax to that. Na? Toll tax, you have to pay something to that. So here, as it is man-made, you have to pay huge money to that. So huge revenue is generated from that. Now he always talks about that. So that's why he is making tariffs on everything, 50% tariffs. If any rat comes also, he will make illegal new tax. That is where he wants to make America great again. So different ways he is putting the tax, and it is not justified by their laws also. Legally they are telling that it is a blunder, but still he wants to persuade with that. So whether it is good or not, that is different. But as a part of a study, you should understand these things, which are geopolitical consideration, right? So this area is called as Gulf of Mexico. So when you talk about America, you should remember this. This is USA, United States of America. USA, United States of America. Right, and this is Canada, and this is Mexico. Three countries are there: Canada, USA, and Mexico. And this portion is called as Alaska. Now, Alaska is part of which country? Alaska is part of USA. Alaska is part of USA. Now, you should remember that the recent Trump and Putin meeting was done in Alaska. Why? Because Alaska was initially state of Russia. Alaska was part of Russia. It was handed over to USA by some agreement. So it means that this Alaska belongs to Russia also. Initially it was a part of that. Later it was handed to USA. So hence he wanted to have a meeting only in Alaska, not in USA, because of that regional touch. So hence that Putin and Trump meeting was held in Alaska, not in any part of USA. Is it clear? Now, if you take the country-wise, the longest international boundary between the two countries is always between these two, USA and Canada. It is the longest international boundary. Longest international boundary is between USA and Canada, because of its extension, right? So in between that you are having certain lakes also. We'll see them, 5 Great Lakes of America, right? So these are called as 5 Great Lakes of America. Now this is how you have to develop your current affairs. Longest boundary. Now which country is having the longest coastline of the world? Obviously it has to be Canada. The country with longest coastline is Canada. See, this entire area of Canada, coastlines are there. And the longest international boundary between the two countries is between Canada and USA. Longest coastline of the world is Canada, coastal areas. Is that clear? No. So you have to have certain data, then your study will become easy. We'll go with other facts, but try to understand. Now here we come across mountains. Now many times questions are asked. Now this is Ural mountain. So Ural mountain separates the Russia, Asian Russia from European Russia. Ural mountain. Now North America has mountain called as Rocky Mountain, Rockies, and then you are having Andes, Rocky Mountains and Andes Mountains. This is North America, this is South America, Rockies and Andes. Now important mountain in Africa, Atlas Mountain. So here you are having Atlas Mountain. Where? In the African part. In the African part. South of Atlas Mountain you are having Sahara Desert. South of Africa you are having Sahara Desert. Now in the Europe you are having one famous mountain called as Alps. Switzerland, Alps. So here you are having Alps mountain in the Europe. In the Europe, Alps mountain. Right. So at least Rocky Mountains, Andes mountain, right. Then you are having Alps mountain in the Europe. Then Atlas mountain in Africa. Atlas mountain in Africa. Then Himalayas in Asia. Himalayas in Asia, right. Now here this is Black Sea and this is Caspian Sea. One is Black Sea and one is Caspian Sea. Now this Black Sea and Caspian Sea are also connected by one mountain. And this mountain which connects Black Sea to the Caspian Sea is Caucasus Mountain. So this is how UPSC asks questions. Caucasus Mountain connects which two bodies? It connects Black Sea with the Caspian Sea. Or in between Black Sea and Caspian Sea, which mountain is there? Caucasus Mountain. So this is that Caucasus Mountain. Again, it is in the news. Right. And then this is Arabian Peninsula. North of Arabian Peninsula, we are having Zagros Mountain. Zagros Mountain. Afghanistan. Yesterday only earthquake was there. Right, so few people died there. Zagros Mountain. Right, so we will see them. So you have to carry your atlas. So new atlas tandre, it will be good enough for you to identify the places. Right, so Rockies are there, Andes are there. Then we are having Alps Mountain, Atlas Mountain, Zagros Mountain, then Himalayan Mountain, and all these. Right, so these are very important perspectives which we have to go in the context of your studies. It is not difficult. If you start from today, maybe in 30 days you will have some grip on the subject. Right, now when we talk about geography, I told physical geography talks about three spheres. The first one is called as the lithosphere, where we will be studying about geomorphology. So this is called as the first sphere of the earth, lithosphere. Then second sphere of the earth is called as atmosphere. Second sphere, climate, weather, and all. And the third sphere of the earth is called as hydrosphere. So these are referred as the three spheres, atmosphere and all. So there is a small area where the three overlaps, right? So atmosphere, lithosphere, and hydrosphere, the area where they overlap. So this area where there is an overlapping is there. So this is a region where there is possibility of life, and we refer that as biosphere. So this is an area where there is possibility of life is there. Life possibility. And we refer this as fourth sphere of the earth. We refer that as biosphere. Biosphere. Right. Now in biosphere, what you can find? Human beings are there. Animals are there. Plants are there. Apart from that, see, in biosphere, we are having animals, we are having human beings, we are having fauna. Is it only existing in biosphere? ಇದಷ್ಟೇ ಇದೆಯಾ biosphere ಅಲ್ಲಿ? What else you are finding in biosphere? We find land, we find atmosphere, we find water. So it consists of land area, it consists of rocks, it consists of light, it consists of all. So hence biosphere consists of something called as living objects or biotic factors, and also called as abiotic factors. So biosphere consists of both living as well as non-living factors. Now the systematic study of living and non-living is referred as ecology. So the systematic ನೀವು ಯಾವಾಗ study ಮಾಡ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ, we refer that as an ecology. So you have something called as ecology and environment. So ecology studies the living and non-living component of biosphere, right? So this is a separate topic which you have to study. So this systematic study we refer them as ecology. That separate study we refer that as ecology. Is it clear? So you should be very part. Now ecology and andaga, it's not only human beings. You have to study about abiotic factors also. What are abiotic factors? The soils, the light, right, the water, the rocks. Avella seridrene you call it as a study of biosphere. Hence these plays an important role in your study factor. Is it clear? Right. Now, in the context of all the studies, the first part is geomorphology, where we'll be studying about basic information of the earth, interior of the earth, something about the rocks, and then theories, continental drift theory and plate tectonic theory, and then a concept called as seafloor spreading. Then we will discuss in detail about earthquake, volcanoes. We'll discuss in detail about earthquake, volcanoes, tsunamis, then different forces. We refer them as endogenetic forces and exogenetic forces. Right. Then breaking up of rocks and these. So this is all your syllabus for UPSC. In UPSC syllabus, these all are there, right? What is cosmology part? Basic information, latitudes, longitudes, then theories, rocks, all these we will be studying in the context of your geomorphology. Basics. This is the syllabus which you have to read in the context of your geography, right? Then this is something associated with climatology. So in climatology, we'll be talking about how the atmosphere has been formed. How the atmosphere is formed. What it is made up of. Then temperature, pressure, how it varies. Then heat budget, rainfall, winds. All these phenomena we'll study. Cyclones, thunderstorms, tornadoes. Step by step we'll try to understand. Slowly we'll try to understand these parts, all these, right? And after that, the next stage will be something called as oceanography. So in oceanography, something about basic information, UNCLOS. Oceans are not confined to only one country, so they are confined to many countries. So international law is there, and this international law we refer that as UNCLOS, or we refer that as law of a sea. This is international law. International law, or we refer this as law of sea. Right, so many current related issues are there. Law of sea ali, we always talk about high sea treaty. So high sea treaty andre eno, which area is called as high sea treaty, and which part of ocean belongs to you, which part of ocean does not belongs to country, and up to what part you are having. See, when you are having a house, adakon compound irutte, compound olagade you are having certain rights. After compound you are having some rights but not all rights. So ade tara oceans alli every country will have their own rights. What degrees of rights they are having are given by UNCLOS. ನೀವು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬಹುದು oceans ಅಲ್ಲಿ, what resources you can take from the oceans is defined by UNCLOS. Pollution ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು, ಮೈನಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಫಿಶಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಫಿಶಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು up to what area you can do. You can't take entire area of ocean. So that's why in news we find that Indian fishermen are caught by Pakistani, because there is something which has been demarcated. So up to what area a country is having, so they are demarcated by UNCLOS, United Nations Convention of Law of Sea. Current affairs kuda you have to read about that, right? And the oceans are also having many resources. So can you give any example of ocean resources? After this we can have a break. Fast. Fish, then salt, then perfect. Fuel, then man-made. Perfect. Ports, then mangroves, then islands. Yes, you can stay there. Islands only you can make some tourism activities. Then have you heard about critical minerals, polymetallic nodules? Don't worry. So we are having something called as polymetallic nodules. Something like potatoes, aloo tara irtave. So there they are having cobalt, manganese, lithium, all mixed in that. We refer them as polymetallic. Poly andre more than one. So polymetallic nodules, which are having a club of cobalt, lithium, manganese, etc. So we refer them as polymetallic nodules, and these are formed in the oceans, because oceans crust is very thin. So minerals keep on coming from the interior, and they will deposit, and they will form due to chemical reactions. They will accumulate, and they will create something called as polymetallic nodules. And these polymetallic nodules consist of lithium. Lithium, you use it in electrical batteries, which is clean energies, right? So such types of minerals, which are very, very important, we refer them as critical minerals. Critical minerals. So China is having good amount of critical minerals, but India hatra illa. So we have to depend on that. So such type of resources which are there in the oceans, we refer them as polymetallic nodules. And this is called as deep sea mining. And that's why we have initiated something called as Samudrayana, Deep Ocean Mission, to explore these things only. International Seabed Authority and all these things. They are very simple. Only thing is you have to focus, understand the classes, make notes of that, revise them. That is more than sufficient. We can have a break, and then we will move on with the first aspect called as geomorphology. I hope at least you are having some idea now what has to be studied. It's not about dictating notes and completing. You have to have some idea what has to be studied. Right, so we'll start at another 15 minutes break, then we'll start. Okay. So we'll start with these perspectives. Right. Now, many students, they will have a confusion which books to read, which not to be read. So as a honest suggestion, you read NCERT books, and PPTs are more than sufficient. Even if you take 60%, 70% of that, Sako. If you go with 100%, then it becomes a dangerous condition for you people. So I'm not expecting that you will be going with all 100% of GS. It is not required. But horizontally, you should reach there. Horizontally, you should reach here. So, when we talk about geomorphology, so in geomorphology, class 11th, there is something called as fundamentals of physical geography there. So this book you read along with my class notes. Fundamentals of Physical Geography. So this book everybody is having, right? If not, you will get a soft copy also. You can just make a soft copy. Laptop is there. You can just make Fundamentals of Physical Geography. You read this with my class. So whatever PPT is there, along with that you read. So basics you will get from this. Current affairs and application you will get from my PPT and my discussion. That is sufficient. This is a Bible. Odlebeku. Along with that, there is something called as India Physical Environment. So when you talk about India Physical Environment, so this book is also very important. Class 11th, class 11th NCERT is very important. Then Human Geography of class 12th. So here Human Geography of class 12th always talks about resources. What are resources? Anything which provides economic benefit. Sampanmoolagalu. So it talks about resources. Now, resources can be biotic and abiotic. Animal resources, cattle's what we rear. Poultry, it is also animal resources. Lion, can we call it as a resource? It is a wild animal. So resources which provides economic benefit. Cattle resources, poultry resources, fish resources. So here we come across many types of resources, right? Mineral resources, living resources, or biotic resources, or abiotic resources. River, water is a resource. Right. So resources andaga onde idak seemiತವಾಗಿರಬೇಡಿ. It is not only that non-living, it includes living also. In companies, we also have a department called as HRD, Human Resource Development. So resource means something which is economic benefit. Now economic benefit ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತಂದಾಗ you have to give some training to them. If you don't train, then he will be a burden to company rather than asset. No, if you are a company owner, you want a burden or asset? Asset. So you have to train them. So that's why HRD. In India also we are having something called, right, HRD, Human Resource Development. So that's why they are talking about skill development. If you develop skill, then you will be like a human resource, Manava Sampanmoola. So when somebody is talking, we say he is a resource person. So resource means he is having something benefit to the economy. Right. So resource means it is not only non-living, it talks about living also. Manav Sampanmoola. So we are also very important. So what are human resources? Knowledge, technological skills. Right. So we refer them as human resources. So resources is not only mineral, it is about all those. And that is where today's knowledge-based society depends on all these. Is that clear? So resources is a concept which talks about not only about minerals, about human beings, knowledge base. Everything is required in that parameter, right? So all those are in this, which we call it as human geography. And here also you will have something called as sustainable development. Sustira Abhivriddhi. And here it talks about three components. What are those three components? Economic, environment, and fix that in your three mind. Then we call it as sustainable development, right? Then you have to talk something about the class 10th geography part and India and people, its economic, industries and all. So these are something which are very important. Class 12th books, class 10th and class 11th. So as a part of studies, I can suggest you can read these books at least 10, 11 and 12. Along with the PPTs, that is more than sufficient to crack your examination, right? So if you are having time, you can read 8th, 9th also, if you are having time, because almost all of you have completed your graduation in humanities, 8th, 9th, just glance these topics, that is more than sufficient, right? Apart from that, you have to focus on current affairs. So basics, PPT, current affairs. Sufficient for your exam. Okay. GC Leong, if you are having, you can read. GC Leong is not that mandatory. If you are having time, you can read. Sometimes because certain diagrams are good in that, certain images are good in that. So once you read NCERT, then you can go for GC Leong. So it is not the other way, because it is very complex part. You read NCERT, then you can revise from GC Leong. Right. So ಕನ್ನಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ನಾನು ಬುಕ್ ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ನೋಡಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ವಿಚ್ ಬುಕ್ ಇಸ್ ಗುಡ್ ಎನಫ್. ರಂಗನಾಥ್ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ದಟ್, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಗುಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಪಾರ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸು ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಗುಡ್. ಐಲ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಚೆಕ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಐ ಲೆಟ್ ಯು ನೋ. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ರಂಗನಾಥ್ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ದಟ್ ನೌ ಡೇಸ್ ಹಿ ಈಸ್ ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಅದರ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಐಲ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಚೆಕ್. ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸಮ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ತವೆ. ಸೊ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದೇರ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ಇಟ್ ಔಟ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ರಂಗನಾಥ್ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ geography is very good from that, and certain topics you can take it, because when you're writing in Kannada you have to go with certain terminologies. I'll just check which is best in that, right? Now we move on to something called as geomorphology, or we refer that as a first aspect of geomorphology is cosmology, right? So when you are writing this, you will be taking in English only. UPSC means you will be writing in English only, right? Or you are taking in Kannada? Kannadadalli baritira UPSC. Okay, then I'll let you know which is best book in that. But you can understand English explanation alva, artha agutte alva. By that you can take one reference book and then you can make your own notes. Then once you are making your own notes, you can show me monthly 15 days ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ you can show me PPT, and along with that you can mix your part. That is sufficient. Okay. Now cosmology. So what is cosmology? Cosmology is the grand study of universe. Study of universe is called as cosmology. Grand study of universe, right? We refer that as cosmology. Now as an astrophysics we have to study in detail, but as a part of geography we have to take only those parts which are important for our studies, right? So we are not reading it for astrophysics, so limitation is there. So geography is referred as a multidisciplinary. It means that there are many topics from history, many topics from economy, many topics are there which are overlapping. So hence we take those parts which are important for the studies. Now in cosmology, when you talk about study of universe, we always talk about study of celestial bodies. Now what do you mean by celestial bodies? The star, the planets, right? Then natural satellites, etc., asteroids, etc. We refer them as the celestial bodies. Planets are there, stars are there, we refer them as celestial bodies. So we have to make an assessment of these celestial bodies in brief, which are required, like sun. What is sun and what is importance? Planet, earth, right? So those we have to make a reference. Now when we talk about the universe, what is the age of universe? What is age of universe? According to the data, according to the most, see, you can't say perfect. It's not like 5th September is birth of so and so. We don't have exact dates. Approximately we can say, approximately. So approximately the age of universe is 14 billion years. Age, approximately we say it is 14 billion years, or we say 13.77 billion years. When you round up, it becomes 14 billion years. So we have to say that age of universe is around 14 billion years or 13.77 billion years, right? So why it is different, I'll tell you in the later stage. Now what is the age of solar system? Age of solar system including sun is 4.6 billion years. Now understand that after the formation of universe, solar system is formed. After the formation of universe, then the solar system is being formed. So hence we say solar system is a part of universe only. So first universe was formed. So what is the age of universe? It is around 14 billion years. So within the universe, the solar system is formed, which is having 4.6 billion years. So before solar system also there were certain celestial bodies were there. So from the celestial bodies, the solar system has been formed. From the celestial bodies, the solar system has been formed. So that is what we conclude. So solar system age is 4.6 billion years and the age of universe is around 14 billion years. So it means solar system is formed by something which is already present in the universe. Gaseous bodies, dust particles. So from those dust particles and gaseous bodies only the solar system has been formed. That should be kept in the mind. Now here when we talk about these, we always have different perspectives to be known here. Now perspective in the sense, when you're talking about measuring the distance on the road, we are having different units to measure. Kilometers are there. Now here also we use certain units to measure, like we are having something called as light air. Now what is light air? Light air andre yen? What is light air? Okay, light air is a unit of, light air is used to measure what? light year is a unit of distance. Light year is used to measure the distance between the two bodies, great distances. So light year means it is a unit which is used to measure the distance that is sufficient. So UPSC keladaga they will ask what is light year. So light year is a unit which is used to measure the distance. Now what is this light year? A distance traveled by light in 1 year, we call it as light year. So light year itself is a unit which is used to measure the distance between the celestial bodies. Light year andre it is a distance, a unit which is used to measure the distance. Now we kilometers use martivalla. So in the same way, instead of using kilometers, they use something called as the light year. Is it clear? A unit which is used to measure the distance. Now simple. If you talk about the distance between the sun and earth. Now the distance between sun and earth, what is the distance here? Okay. Now when we talk about the distance between sun and earth, it is not always fixed. Sometimes it is far away, sometimes it is less. So we always use the term called as average distance between the earth and sun. Now the average distance between the earth and sun is 150 million kilometers. The average distance between the sun and earth is 150 million kilometers. Right. And this is also referred by astronomical unit. It is also called as 1 astronomical unit. Right. So sometimes when they ask what is astronomical unit? Astronomical unit is an average distance between earth and the sun, and its value is average 150 million kilometers. An astronomical unit is also used to measure the distance. Astronomical unit is also used to measure the distance. Now if I say the distance between the two stars is 2 astronomical units, now what is the total distance? 2 into 150 million. So 300 million kilometers is the distance. Is that clear? So astronomical unit is used to measure the distances between the two celestial bodies. Now in the same way, if I say that the distance between the earth and the sun is something called as 8.2 light minutes. 8.2 light minutes. Yenitra artha? Light travels with some speed. So it takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds to reach to the earth. So whatever distance it has covered in 8 minutes and 20 seconds, so that is referred as the distance between the earth and the sun. Is that clear? So light year antandre, it is a distance traveled by light in 1 year. So 8.2 light minutes means that the light travels with some velocity. So in 8 minutes, whatever distance it has covered, so that distance plus 20 seconds distance, so that entire distance which is covered by light in 8 minutes and 20 seconds is referred as the distance between earth and the sun. Is it clear? So hence light year is a unit to measure the distance. Astronomical unit to measure the distance. Is it clear? So these are the units which you should remember. So 8.2 light minutes or 150 million kilometers or 1 astronomical unit. So these all are used in the context of measuring the distance in the universe because they are very far away from each other. You can't measure them in kilometers because they will be very far away. So hence we use such units, light year, astronomical units and all. Now among all these are most familiar ones, so we will use them often and often. Now sometimes they may ask what is the time required by the light to reach from sun to the earth? 8 minutes and 20 seconds. That's it. Now when you talk about universe, which is the most accepted theory which explains the formation of universe? The Big Bang theory. So many theories are there, but we say most accepted theory. So most accepted theory which explains the formation of the universe is Big Bang theory. Is referred as Big Bang theory. Right. So we use a term called as most accepted theory. Most accepted theory. So what do you mean by most accepted? Is it perfect? Is it permanent? No. So you should be very careful. You should not use the term. It is the most permanent theory anbardo. It is most accepted. It means that, is there any possibility of changing this? Maybe if they come with other theories, then you have to say goodbye to this. See, one thing is there. Nothing is permanent on the earth. Earth itself is not permanent. God himself is not permanent. Nothing is permanent. Your sorrows, your happiness, nothing is permanent. So at best, we can say they are stable. Stability is something which is read in geography. No permanency. Himalaya is not permanent. Himalaya is stable. We don't know when it will end up. So all the landforms on the earth keep on changing, but time period taken by them is different. So Himalayas may take millions of years to change, but millions of years, can we survive? What is the life of human beings? 60, 70, if you maintain good health, 80, and 90 also difficult, memory will collapse. Right? So compared to human life, they will be very, and there are certain insects who survive for only one day. Morning they will grow, by night they will end their life. Their cycle is only up to 24 hours. So they are also happy with their life. Only human being is the only person who is not happy with his life, in spite of having that 60 plus years, and in spite of having all the possibility to create resources. He always fights with each other to have the happiness. So there are many animals who survive for only 12 hours, 24 hours. They enjoy the life and they die also. But here we find we always fight. So that's why geopolitics has been created. Trump wants everything for him. Right. So when you are reading those perspectives, you should have the geographical approach in your part. So nothing is permanent. So at best we say it is stable. So stability is associated with geography, not permanency. Not permanency. Himalayas are stable. Earth is stable. Earth is not permanent. Earth is stable. Right. So hence we always use the term most accepted theory, nothing called as permanent. ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವುದೋ theory ಕೊಟ್ರೆ, then we have to say goodbye to Big Bang theory and we have to come back to the new theory. So hence we say it is most accepted theory in the context of cosmology. Now what is this theory? This theory tries to explain how the universe has been formed. Right. So in this theory, it tries to explain the formation of universe. Formation of universe. Right. And this Big Bang theory was given by George Lemaitre. George Lemaitre. Now this George Lemaitre is referred as father of Big Bang theory. George Lemaitre. He was a German priest. Right. He is referred as the father of Big Bang theory. Now, is it only the person who contributed? So many are there. But Lemaitre is referred as the father of Big Bang theory, and contribution is given by many. Contribution is given by many. The idea was given by Lemaitre. Contribution, later development was given by many people, like Hubble, right? Hubble telescope. So they have given many. But the main person associated with that is George Lemaitre. Now, as you talk about the theory, it has to have certain science background. Any theory has to have that science. Vaigyanikvagi prove madrene, they will accept that. So here also they talk about two models. So this theory is supported by two models. One is general theory of relativity, and who has given this general theory of relativity? Einstein. Now you don't have to define that in detail. It is based on quantum physics. So just understand general theory of relativity. You don't have to go with the quantum physics. So general theory of relativity given by Einstein. Then cosmological principle. Universe is homogeneous and isotropic. So what do you mean by homogeneous? Same, uniformity. Region is a homogeneous. Region is a homogeneous. Now here, universe is homogeneous and isotropic antandaga. Physical properties like temperature, pressure, they should be uniform in all the directions. So if the pressure is increasing on the front, the pressure should increase on the back side also. If the temperature is increasing on the left side, then the temperature should increase on the right side. So physical properties remaining same in all direction is called as homogeneous and isotropic. So universe is homogeneous and isotropic, that is physical properties. Physical properties. They are same in all direction. Same in all direction. Physical properties means we are talking about temperature, we are talking about pressure, etc. ವೇರಿ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು. ಈಗ ಒಂದ್ ಸೈಡ್ ನೀವು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಅದರ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಸೊ ವಿ ರೆಫರ್ ದಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಹೋಮೋಜೀನಿಯಸ್. There should not be variation, there should not be any fluctuation, right? So these are the two things where it supports the Big Bang theory. One is general theory of relativity and second one is cosmological principle, where it talks about the universe. The universe is same in all direction. Now what the theory says, as it is general studies, you have to be very careful about only the point of references. So in this he says that the proponent of the theory says that there existed a point, and this point was having a temperature, a density which cannot be measured. So anything which cannot be measured, we refer that as anything which cannot be measured. Infinite. See here, words are important. Geography, ಯಾವುದೋ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್, ಕೀ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ that will be good enough. Now when you are talking about some terms, land, big temperature, it does not have value. There is certain terms. So infinite, right? So there existed a single point. There existed a point or single point which was having infinite hot and dense. A single point with infinite hot and dense. Temperature was unmeasurable, density is also unmeasurable, and they referred the single point which was having infinite hot and dense as singularity. This single point with infinite hot and density is called as singularity. So this is a key term. There existed a single point, infinite hot and dense, called as singularity. Now this singularity, in NCERT books they say it underwent explosion, but instead of explosion we can use three words. Now for your references you can say that this singularity underwent explosion. Now what exactly happened in the explosion is that whatever was there, infinite hot and dense, entire thing got scattered. And it is not only scattered, it expanded. Expanded. Now this happened in a fraction of seconds, not even 1 second. In the fraction of second, and anything which has happened in the fraction of second, we refer that as inflated. So that is the third term, inflated. So these are the three terms you should remember. This singularity underwent scattering, expansion and inflation. You can use the scattering, expansion and inflation, any of these. ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಪದ ನೀವು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. Scattering, expansion and inflation. So inflation means fraction of seconds. Fraction of seconds, not even 1 second. Fraction of second, not even a second. And this made the creation of matter, and that matter was responsible for creating the first stars, solar system, and other things in the universe. Up to this, is it clear now? Now the next point what you have to mention here is, next point is that the singularity, it underwent the three process: inflation, scattering, and expansion, which made the entire matter to spread. And they formed the first star in the universe. After that, the first star was formed. Then combination of stars, we refer them as galaxies. First star, then galaxy. Galaxies were formed, and ultimately the planets were formed. Right? And even today it is expanding. ಇವತ್ತು ಕೂಡ ಅದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. The universe is expanding. Right. Now, according to the theory, this explosion took place 13.77 billion years ago. This explosion took place 13.77 billion years ago. So that is the age of universe. So 13.77 billion years ago, there was a singularity which was having infinite hot and dense. It underwent an explosion in the form of expansion, scattering, and inflation. And from 13.77 billion years, even today the matter is expanding. Even today it is expanding. Even today we find it is continuously being expanding. So that is where we say the age of universe is 13.77 or 13.8 billion years. So the matters, first stars, galaxies, which were formed by the process. This is what the Big Bang theory says. Now diagrammatically, this is how it looks like. So when you're writing your answers, you should use that diagram which I told, singularity and three terms. Don't write paragraphs, three terms, and then you can show that it created the first star, it created galaxies, it created the solar system. It created the solar system. So hence, when you are drawing your part, so you should use the terms very appropriately. Singularity, the three terms, then expanding of the universe. And even today also the universe is expanding. Even today also the universe is expanding. So this is the Big Bang theory. You don't have to make research. So the key term is singularity, expansion, scattering, inflation, and even today also it is expanded. Now this is the theory. Now you have to provide evidence. Without evidence, who will accept that? Without evidence, who will accept the theory? No evidence to support the theories. Now what are the evidences to support this theory? Right. So when we talk about evidences, right. Now evidences of the theory. Now the first evidence is referred as cosmic microwave background. This is in your current affairs. Cosmic microwave background. ಇದು ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಫೇರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ, ಮೈಕ್ರೋವೇವ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್. Or we simply refer that as CMB, cosmic microwave background, or CMB. Right. Now what is the CMB? CMB means it is first light after Big Bang. Or we say it is afterglow of Big Bang. So it means that after the Big Bang, there was a dark phase. The universe was not transparent. After some time, the universe become transparent. So afterglow means where the universe become transparent. Right. So by studying this cosmic microwave background, they concluded the age as 13.88 billion years. Now, what exactly is this cosmic microwave background? Now, try to understand this. Very simple. Very simple. And when you are making notes, try to make the notes as it is, a running part. Now, immediately after the Big Bang, the temperature was very high temperature. Now, when the temperature was very high, then we always find that there are always three states of matter. One is solid, one is liquid, and third one is gaseous. Now, when you talk about plastic pollution, so there plastic burn ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದಾಗ ನಾವೇನಂತೀವಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ plasma arc. Plasma arc is used to burn the plastic. So plasma means object which is staying in high temperature, like fog-like. So we refer that as plasma state, high temperature. So anything which is in high temperature, we refer that as fog-like, or we refer them as plasma. Right. So immediately after the Big Bang, everything was there in the plasma state. Everything was there in the plasma state, or we refer that as fog-like part. Now, when it is in the plasma or fog-like, everything is scattered. Everything is scattered. You don't find atoms. We don't find anything on that. Now, this is bit science, but try to understand this. Solpa science ide idralli, but you can't run away from this. Right. So plasma was there. After initial expansion, now anything when it expands, what will happen to the temperature? Will it remain same, increase or decrease? Anything when it expands, the temperature will decrease. So because of expansion, perfect, is true. If you understand this, that is more than sufficient. The temperature decreases. The temperature decreases. Now, as the temperature decreased after the Big Bang, they developed something called as quarks. So it developed something called as quarks, subatomic particles. Now, the moment when you talk about the quarks, we refer them as the building blocks of matter from which matter has been formed. Quarks, we refer them as building blocks of matter. Building blocks of matter. Right. Now, when we talk about the quarks, slowly the quarks will aggregate, they will combine. So these quarks aggregated. Aggregate andre combine. So in the beginning, they aggregated and they created something called as protons and neutrons. They aggregated and they formed something called as protons and neutrons. Right, so they formed protons and neutrons. Now, slowly the area which consists of protons and neutrons becomes the nucleus. So they combined protons and neutrons and they become the nucleus. Right. Now, to this nucleus, already among the substances which were there, it also had something called as electrons. So to this nucleus, electrons combined by itself. So to this nucleus, electrons combine. Now, when the nucleus is there, which consists of protons and neutrons, to that electrons combine, what it will form? Atom. So this created first atom of the universe. So the nucleus combined with the electrons and they created first atom of the universe. first atom of universe. And this first atom of universe is hydrogen and helium. Hydrogen and helium, right? And this entire process is referred as epoch of recombination. Idu ella process we call it as epoch of recombination. So this entire process is called as epoch of recombination. Right, so it is simple. Immediately after the Big Bang, everything was in the plasma state, high temperature. Now, as it expanded, the temperature reduced. And that led to the development of quarks, which are referred as the fundamental or building blocks of the matter. Now, these quarks aggregated and they formed something called as protons and neutrons. These protons and neutrons combined and they created nucleus. They combined with the electrons and they created the first atom of the universe, that is hydrogen and helium. And this entire process is called as epoch of recombination. Is it clear? So hence first atoms of the universe are hydrogen and helium. Up to this, is it clear? Okay. Now what happened after this? See, when you are reading about lights, right? So light is nothing but, we talk about something called as photons. So during all this process, when everything was there in the fog-like structure, photons escaped from this fog-like structure. And this escape of photon is nothing but first light after the Big Bang. We refer that as cosmic microwave background. Is that clear? So during this process, during this epoch of recombination, all this was happening at the same time, photons. Now don't confuse this photons with protons. Protons are different. Photons means packets, lights. So photons escaped. Photons escaped during the process. And this photons which escaped, we refer this as first light after the Big Bang, or we refer that as cosmic microwave background. Cosmic microwave background or CMB. Now as the photon escaped, then the universe started to become transparent. So idikinta munche it was in the dark phase. Now with the cosmic microwave background, the universe started to become transparent. So from this stage, slow lights was there. Slowly it started to become transparent. So from this phase, the universe become transparent. So if they ask questions, from the beginning the universe was transparent, is the statement correct? From the beginning, immediately after the Big Bang, the universe was transparent. Is the statement correct? No. So when the universe become transparent after the epoch of recombination and escape of photons. So as the photons escaped, then we find there is something called as light which formed. Now when hydrogen was there, hydrogen combined and slowly it created the first star. So which is the dominant element in the stars? Hydrogen. Is it clear? So this is how the cosmic microwave background talks about. Cosmic microwave background. So cosmic microwave background, when we study, understand this in a very simple. This is after the Big Bang. Inflation means fraction of seconds. Where we find neutrons and protons were there. All are scattered. They will not combine. All are scattered. But as the temperature decreased, we find that the first formation is that nucleus is formed, and along with the nucleus electrons will combine, and they created the first atom of the universe called as helium and hydrogen. This is the first one, right? After that photons escaped from that, and this photons which escaped from that, we refer that as the cosmic microwave background or the first light after the Big Bang. And then the first stars were formed, which is made up of hydrogen and helium. So immediately after the Big Bang, you don't find any light. Everything was dark. Later we find first stars, and later we find that the stars were formed in the stages. Is it clear? And from here we find the universe become transparent. So after 3 lakh million years, the stars were formed. The stars were formed. 3 lakh years, the stars were formed. No, you don't have to remember. But you should remember that after that epoch of recombination, cosmic microwave background associated with the Big Bang theory. Now, when you talk about cosmic microwave background, understand this. Any image you can keep in the mind. So immediately after the Big Bang, everything was in the darkness. So here first light is nothing but cosmic microwave background. And from here the universe become transparent. From here the universe become transparent. And this study of cosmic microwave background defines the age of universe as 13.77 billion years. Now this light is called as CMB. Now this CMB is low intensity. Low intensity light. Now low intensity light, is it easy for us to capture through the naked eyes? So that's why it is very difficult. It's a very low intensity light, and Hubble's telescope has identified that. But is there anything new improvement where they will be making more emphasis on this? Up to now we are having something called as Hubble's telescope. Is there anything which has been added to improve the vision here? Yes. There is something called as James Webb telescope. Have you heard about this? So James Webb telescope is something which is having more resolution. So James Webb telescope, if it studies, then we may have more clarity on the formation of universe. So that's why we have to depend on technologies. We have to depend on technologies, because James Webb telescope can give more. See, your mobile phone is there. When you take the image from Apple, which is having megapixel, and the normal one, which will be having more clarity? The Apple one. So James Webb telescope will be like more resolution, high resolution, which will capture all these types of the lights, which can give more clarity about the universe and its birth. So hence we have to depend on technologies to understand what exactly is being happening in the context of universe. Is it clear? So this is something which is referred as the cosmic microwave background or afterglow of the Big Bang. So this is called as the first evidence in the context of the cosmic microwave background. And these two people, they received Nobel Prize in the year 1978 for identifying CMB. So these two people, they received the Nobel Prize for identifying the cosmic microwave background. Penzias and Wilson. And according to them, the age of universe is 13.8 billion years. Don't write big stories. Facts. Right. Is it clear now? Okay. Now, it is not the end here. They are continuously studying this part. They are continuously studying this perspective of that. Now what they concluded is that they come across something, right? So in the year 1992, this is also continuation. In the year 1992, these two, Mather, Smoot, they received Nobel Prize in variations in the cosmic microwave background. So second Nobel Prize for CMB. One is for identifying and second one is for making the variations. Now why these variations? Because the universe is expanding. Variation means it is expanding. It is not stable. It is not stable. Then again, in the year 2011, it received the Nobel Prize by Mutter, Schmid and Rees. Again for accelerating expansion of universe through observation of supernova. So 3 times the Nobel Prize was given for this cosmic microwave background, which tries to explain about the universe, which is stable or not stable, expanding universe. So it talks about expansion of the universe. Is it clear now? So next year they may ask questions on this part. One static, one current affairs like questions will be there. Keep the content as simple as possible. Tumba theory tara barkobedi. That will not help you. Keep the thing in your mind and try to put it as simple. So this is the first evidence. We refer that as cosmic microwave background. Okay. So this software, the soft copies he will be sending. You don't have to waste time on this, right? Now, what is the another explanation? What is the second evidence associated with that? Very significant and very important. Second evidence. We refer that as a Doppler redshift. Doppler redshift, right? Now, in physics, we have something called as a Doppler effect. What is Doppler effect? But Doppler effect andre eno? That is correct. That is 100% correct. What you are telling is 100% correct. But Doppler effect andre eno? Sometimes when they ask, what you are telling is very much correct. See, here it is associated with the relationship between frequency and distance. Frequency and distance, right? So here, if you take an example, this is an ambulance and here you are standing. Here you are standing, right? So you are observer and this is source. You are observer and this is source. Now, this ambulance will always have a sound, right? If the sound increases, then we say its frequency is increasing, right? If its frequency is increasing, then what you conclude? Source is moving towards the observer or source is moving away from the observer? Towards. So if the frequency increases, then the source is moving towards the observer. So if the frequency is increasing, then the source is moving towards the observer, right? And if the frequency is decreasing, then the source is moving away from the observer. If the frequency is decreasing, then we say the source is moving away from the observer. So here you have to talk about frequency and the distance. Frequency and the distance. We refer this as Doppler shift. So in the Doppler shift, if the frequency is increasing, then the source and observers are coming closer. If the frequency is decreasing, then the source is moving away from the observer. Simple as it is. Adana now Doppler effect anta karitivi, associated with frequency. Now, in the same way, when you talk about the light, this light consists of VIBGYOR, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. Now, all these are arranged based on frequency, right? So here it is having high frequency, and these are having low frequency. High frequency and low frequency, right? Now, if this is a light, right? Now here you are standing, right? Now two possibilities are there. Now if this light turns towards violet, if it turns towards violet or blue, then the light is moving towards the observer or moving away from the observer. It means its frequency is increasing. Perfect. So if it is moving towards the observer, then it will be having either violet or it will be having indigo. It means that he is moving towards the Now, if this light turns into something called as orange, red, or yellow, what does it mean? Is it moving towards or moving away from you? So when you see the stars, they resembles either orange or red or yellow. So what does it indicate? The stars are moving or coming closer to us, and they are converting themselves into red. We refer that as Doppler red shift. The white color of the stars is shifting towards the red color, which shows that low frequency and which indicates that stars are moving away from the observer, right? So any stars when we see in the earth, any star when we see in the earth, they resemble either yellow color or orange color or red color. So it means that these are having decrease in the frequency. So their frequencies are decreasing. Frequencies are decreasing, which means that they are moving away from each other. They are moving away from each other. And we refer this as Doppler red shift. And we refer this as the Doppler red shift. Right. So Doppler red shift defines the contracting universe or expanding universe. Doppler red shift explains expansion of the universe. Simple as it is. So Doppler red shift explains the expansion of universe. Is it clear? So these are referred as the two evidences of the Big Bang theory. Is it difficult to remember? The first is Big Bang theory talks about infinite hot and dense object called as singularity. Then it underwent expansion, scattering, and inflation. Then epoch of recombination, first star formation, and then the first light, which is called as cosmic microwave background. Evidence can be the same, CMB and Doppler redshift. Doppler redshift gives about expansion of the universe, and cosmic microwave background gives the first light or the first glow after the Big Bang, which gives the age of universe as 13.88 billion years. You don't have to write entire story back. Is it clear? So when you're writing, you should remember these things. You don't have to explain that in detail. Doppler effect explain madbekantagilla. You have to just mention that the stars which we see in the universe, they resembles red, so which indicates that they are moving away from the observer, and which explains the expansion nature of the universe. Simple as it is. Clear? Right. Now, whatever data we are having about the universe, it is less than 5%. So according to astronomical and physical calculation, we have only 5% of visible universe is there. Only 5% is there. Now 25% is dark matter. So dark matter, it means that it do not emit any light. Do not emit any light. Or it do not emit any electromagnetic radiations. Any electromagnetic radiation. It do not emit any light, do not emit any electromagnetic radiation, which is 25% of the entire universe as per the present data. Now this dark matter is a type of a force which is holding the universe, and anything which is holding the universe, we refer that as gravitational force. Gravitational force. So this dark matter is something which is holding the universe. Holding the universe means that it is an example of gravitational force. Gravitational force. Is it clear? Now, there is something called as dark energy. Now this dark energy which makes 70%. Now one is holding and one is expansive force. So this dark energy is repulsive force. Dark energy is repulsive force. Now what is the role of repulsive force? Expansion. So expansion. So repulsive force is responsible for expansion of universe. Right. So hence, can we say that universe is balanced between two forces? One is gravitational force and second one is expansion force. Right. Now at present, expansion force is more than that of gravitational force. So what does it mean? The universe is expanding. Simple. Ishte tilkondre saku. Is it clear? So it is always balanced between two forces. One is gravitational force and one is expansion forces. Now just imagine that. At one time, if the gravitational force becomes more, if the gravitational force becomes more than expansion of the universe, then what will happen to the universe? Universe will shrink. That may be the end of universe. We don't know, but this is how the present theoretical perspectives. Now, in Tilkondunu, you should not say that it is expanding, later it will contract. We don't know exactly in what rate it is being expanding. But based on these data, we say that one is gravitational force and one is expansion force. One is associated with repulsion and one is associated with the holding of universe. So dark matter holds the universe and dark energy expanding of the universe. Is it clear? So this is some application of the Big Bang theory and the present conclusion. Clear? Okay. Now, next perspective is something called as galaxies. Now again I am telling you, we have to read this as a part of your general studies and geography part. In detail, you don't have to go. Even they ask for 15 marks, bari bahut what is Big Bang, most accepted and all. Now what do you mean by galaxies? Any definition of galaxy? This is a process of learning. Group of stars. Okay, solar system. Group of stars, celestial bodies. Does it complete the definition? It's a part of universe. See, yaudo new baribekandaga, you should have a definition. So hence, when you're writing this galaxies, we can say it is group of stars, dust particles, gases, right, etc., etc. Group of stars, dust particles and gases, etc. Are they freely roaming? They are held by gravitational force. So that completes the definition. So group of stars, dust particles, gases, etc., which are held by gravitational force. Held by gravitational force. So this we refer them as galaxies. There should be a complete consolidation. Group of stars, planets, dust particles, which are held by the gravitational force. We refer them as galaxies. Now these galaxies are also not static. They are rotating. And they are rotating with different speeds. Now if any object is rotating, if its speed is different, then shape will also be different. If it is rotating with high velocity, its shape will be different. If it is rotating with less velocity, its shape will be different. So the same thing happens here. So all the galaxies are rotating. All the galaxies are rotating. And they all are rotating with different speeds. And the speed of rotation, all the galaxies are rotating, and the speed of rotation defines the shape of galaxies. The speed of rotation defines the shape of galaxies. Shape of galaxy. Right. So hence we are having different shapes. But as a general studies, you can remember that it can be spiral galaxy. Second, you can give elliptical galaxy. And third you can mention is others. This is how you can mention your points. Spiral galaxy, elliptical galaxy, and others. Others includes all irregular and all. Now example of spiral galaxy is Milky Way. So the Milky Way, our galaxy is this one. So example of spiral galaxy is Milky Way or Akash Ganga. This is example of spiral galaxy. Milky Way or Akash Ganga, both are same. So the name of our galaxy is Milky Way or Akash Ganga, and its shape is spiral. It is not elliptical, it is spiral. So all the galaxies can be either spiral or elliptical or irregular or other shapes. Example of spiral galaxy is Akash Ganga or Milky Way. Is it clear? Okay. Now in these galaxies we always come across the stars and other bodies. Now we'll try to understand something about the stars. Right. So something about the stars. Right. Now before moving down to the star, you can keep this in a box so that you can remember that. You can keep it in a box. Now the energy which is produced in the star, we refer that as stellar energy. Right. And this stellar energy is a type of nuclear fusion. Right. There are two types of nuclear energy, fission and fusion. So in the fission, the nucleus breaks. In the fusion, it combines. Right. So here it is nuclear fusion. So it is the fusion of two hydrogen nuclei and combining into helium. Two hydrogen combined and they form the helium. And this energy which is released is referred as stellar energy or nuclear fusion, which takes place in the star. Stellar energy. And this releases huge amount of energy. It releases huge amount of energy. Right. Now what is the fuel here? What is the fuel for nuclear fusion? For nuclear fusion, what element is required? Hydrogen. So here nuclear fuel is hydrogen. Here the nuclear fuel is hydrogen. Mainly we see it is a hydrogen. Right. Now every star will have hydrogen with different proportion. Now when fuel ends up, then we say it is end of a star. When fuel ends up, then we say it is end of a star. Now when this hydrogen ends, then the star die, and this die with an explosion. This star dies with an explosion, and this explosion is referred by a term called as nova. And if it is very large, then we refer that as supernova. So if it is very large, then we call it as supernova. Right. So here understand that any star before its death, it becomes red giant, and after that it undergoes the process called as supernova. Supernova means death of a star. The moment when we use the term supernova means explosion or death of a star. Explosion or death of a star. right? And here the temperature which is created is millions of degrees. You will always find the temperature which is created is very high, millions of degrees centigrades. Now if we take the sun, in the sun 15 million degrees centigrade is created. When you talk about the nuclear fission in the sun, 15 million degrees centigrade, not 20, not 30, 15 million degrees centigrade. That amount of temperature is created during the nuclear fusion. 15 million degrees centigrade is the amount of temperature which is created during nuclear fusion. Tremendous amount of energy is created during the nuclear fusion. Right, now, up to this, is it clear now? The energy which is produced in the star is called as nuclear fusion. Is called as nuclear fusion. It is where we find the combination of hydrogen to make a helium. And this will create a temperature of around 15 million degree centigrade. Now my question is such type of reactivity, can it take place on the Earth's surface? In the Earth, we develop nuclear energy, that is nuclear fission. The nuclear energy which is produced in the Earth is nuclear fission. Don't get confused. Chain reaction, controlled chain reaction is used to develop the nuclear energy on the Earth. We refer that as nuclear fission. Now don't get confused. On the Earth's surface, we develop the nuclear energy, and this nuclear energy which is developed, we refer that as nuclear fission. So fission means it is divided into three parts. These two are controlled, and only this is made to expand. So we refer that as a controlled chain reaction. And controlled chain reaction is something by which you can create an energy. If it is uncontrolled, then it will be a bomb or explosion. So in the process of nuclear energy which we are producing is called as nuclear fission, which is controlled chain reaction, which is called as controlled chain reaction. The nuclear reactors in India all are working on this control. So whatever 3 is broken, 2 are absorbed and 1 is allowed to move. Again it will break, they are absorbed by using cadmium rods and all. Now my question is there any possibility of developing nuclear fission on the Earth which is having 15 million degrees centigrade? Do we have any instruments which can hold that 15 million degrees centigrade? Right, so we don't have anything as such. We need a technology in that part. Now, are there any steps being done here? Now, this is your current affairs. Now, in this, whatever end products are there, they don't release any type of fossil, they don't have any type of hydrocarbons, they don't have any. So, whatever is end product of that is called as clean energy, which will not have any pollution. In the nuclear reactor, there may be issue. Disposal of this is a problem. Disposal of uranium is a problem, but here it can be referred as clean energy. Now, question is there any process which has been done in the context of nuclear fusion? This we are already having. Nuclear reactors, disasters. But this is also something which is relevant. Now, try to understand this. In the context of India, or in the context of any part, remember, this nuclear fusion it requires huge amount of energy, and it will require a device which can hold that energy. A device which can be holding that energy. You need some instrument to hold that, right? So that is the reason why in the context of nuclear fission, they always require a device which can make the feasibility of nuclear fusion. Device which can make the feasibility of nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion. Right. And in this regard, We have initiated a project, an international project, and this international project is referred as International Thermonuclear Energy Reactor, ITER, International Thermonuclear Energy or Experiment Reactor, International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, ITER, International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor. And this is in France, and India is part of that. Idu France alide. India is part of that. Now, in this International Thermonuclear Energy Reactor, they have developed a device. And this device which they have developed is called as tokamak. The device which they have developed is called as tokamak. So in prelims, when they ask tokamak, so what is tokamak? It is a magnetic device. Tokamak, it is a magnetic device which will help in the feasibility of nuclear fusion. Tokamak. So they have already successfully developed the tokamak, which will make the feasibility of the nuclear fusion. Right. Now here they can't use the hydrogen. So in the tokamak, they use isotopes of hydrogen. So two isotopes of hydrogens are there. Isotopes of hydrogen. So the fuel used in this is isotopes of hydrogen. What are those? Isotopes of hydrogen, deuterium and tritium. Yes, so isotopes of that. One is deuterium and second one is tritium. So the two isotopes of hydrogen are used in the tokamak. One is deuterium and one is tritium. Now when it becomes successful, it will release the energy more than that of the sun. So hence it is also referred as mini sun project. It is also called as mini sun project. Mini sun project. Now here the fuel is isotopes of hydrogen, that is deuterium and tritium, and the device is called as tokamak, which will make the feasibility of nuclear fusion. India is part of that, and once it becomes commercially production, then this energy is called as clean energy, because there is no problem of disposal and there is no problem of pollution. So the energy which is produced by this, is referred as clean energy. Or there is no problem of disposal. No disposal issue. There will be no pollution. So if it becomes more successful, can we say that it can become a solution for climate change issues? Yes. So will it be a game changer? Yes. So if it becomes more successful, then it can be a game changer in the context of climate change issues. It can be a game changer in the context of the climate change issues. Is it clear now? ITR, International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor in the France, developing of a device called as tokamak, and the fuel here is isotopes of hydrogen, that is tritium and deuterium, right? And it can be a game changer in the present context. Now, is there anywhere India is also working on this? India is also working on indigenous. Indigenous means within India, made in India. So since from long time, India is working on this. India is also working on that. Now India has started developing its indigenous. Indigenous. Now always remember, the device will be called as tokamak only. Indigenous tokamak, which can be referred as India's mini sun. And this project, which started decades back, 1986, 1990, we refer that as Aditya. Now don't confuse Aditya mission. Aditya mission is India's mission to the sun. So this is Aditya. So Aditya is India's first indigenous tokamak. Now recently they have upgraded that from Aditya to Aditya U. So now we call it as Aditya U. Aditya U. So this is India's first indigenous tokamak, Aditya, and now we call it as Aditya U. And along with that, they also developed one more tokamak, which is referred as SST1. SST1. They have also developed SST1. Steady state superconducting, steady state superconducting, steady state superconducting. And what does T stands for? Tokamak. Steady state superconducting tokamak 1. It is India's indigenous mini sun or mini reactor. Is it clear? So once, if all becomes successful, then it will be a major change in the context of clean energies. Is it clear? So whatever has been told, you keep that in the mind. So this is important for your geography, important for your SNT. Questions will be asked on this portion. Right. Now we move back to the star. So what is the activity which is taking place in the stars? We refer that as nuclear fusion, where the two hydrogens are combining and tremendous amount of energy is produced. We refer that as stellar energy or the nuclear fusion. And the fuel in the star is the hydrogen. Now we'll move from that part. So we'll move on to that part. See this portion I told, right? Now you keep this as a reference, and that is current affairs. Whatever I told you, that is current affairs. Now we move on to the basic part. Up to this, is it clear now? All the stars end in the form of something called as nova or supernova. Right? Okay. Adu, I'll explain to you. Right? So I'll explain. Don't get much stress. I'll explain. Now, when we talk about this, now try to focus on the discussion. Yes, curiosity is very good, but it has to go with the normal flow. Black holes are also there. We'll discuss in that. Now, star. Now, when you talk about the stars, understand that after the Big Bang, the first atoms were formed. And this first atoms which were formed, we refer that as epoch of recombination. So, we refer this as epoch of recombination. Right. And after this epoch of recombination, the first stars were formed. The first stars were formed. And in the epoch of recombination, hydrogen and helium were developed. The first atoms, hydrogen and then heliums. Then hydrogen combined to form the first star. Hydrogen combined to form the first star. So this is referred as the first star of the universe. In the beginning, right? Now these stars which were formed in the beginning, they were having light nucleus. Density was not that. Lighter nucleus. So the first stars which were produced, they were having lighter nucleus, or they were having poor metal composition. Poor metal composition, lighter nucleus, light and poor metal composition. And such stars which were having poor metal composition, we name them as Methuselah stars. Poor metal, light, we refer them as Methuselah stars. Methuselah stars. So the first stars are all referred as Methuselah stars, which were having poor metal composition. Their density was very, very less. Poor metallic composition in their core. Right? Methuselah stars. Now, in the beginning, say this is the star, this is the star, these are the stars which were formed. We refer them as Methuselah stars. Methuselah stars, poor metal composition. Now, can we say that all the stars have the same proportion of hydrogen? They will be having different proportion of hydrogen. Now, these are the first stars which were produced. We refer them as Methuselah stars, beginning stars. Now, maybe after millions of years, this star's entire hydrogen ends up. Now, when entire hydrogen ends up, what will happen to this star? This star will undergo supernova. So, this star will undergo supernova. So, after the supernova, its materials will be ejected. Explosion, right? So, all the materials in the core, all the materials or all the metals will get ejected, right? So this has gone under. Now this star has also undergone supernova. So the materials ejected will be there, and the materials ejected from this and this will create a new star. So this is how the new star is formed. New star is formed. Now this new star which is formed, will it have the same density? Or will it increase in the density? It will increase in its density. So the new star which is formed will be having more density. More denser. Is it clear? Now, maybe this star will also undergo supernova, and this denser star will also undergo supernova. So this will again create a new star. New star after the supernova. After the supernova. And this new star will always be having more density. More the denser, more will be the new star. ಈ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತಲ್ವಾ, you will find explosion in that. So they will end up all the hydrogen explode ಆದಾಗ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ eject ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಯಾವುದೋ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ explosion ಆದಾಗ this material and that material will combine and they will create a new star. They will create a new star. So maybe this star which is there, ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ hydrogen ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. So one more star will explode. So this star and that star explosion, the ejected material will combine and they will create a new star. So this is how the new stars are continuously formed in the universe by existing mass. Now can we say that all the stars in the universe are of same age? So hence we find the stars are of different ages and different stages of their life. So adike when we talk about the age of a sun, by knowing all this, we say age of a sun is somewhat calculated. So how do you differentiate the new star and old star? By based on their density. And what is the ultimate fuel associated with that? Hydrogen. So if you calculate the ratio of hydrogen and the denser elements, by that you can calculate the age of the stars. And this is how the astronomers do. So astronomers ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, they will calculate this portion, right? So astronomers, they always go with that part. They use the ratio of these heavier elements like carbon, iron, etc. with that of hydrogen to calculate the determine the age of the star. And by this they have calculated the age of sun. What is the age of sun? 4.6 billion years. How they concluded? They concluded by taking the proportion of the heavier elements like carbon and with that of hydrogen. And they concluded that the age of the sun is 4.6 billion years. Is it clear? And hence we say that today stars are in different stages of life. Some are young, some are old stars. So hence continuously new stars are formed. Continuously new stars are formed. Now new stars are formed in the area which we refer them as interstellar space. So once we complete this, I'll tell you what is interstellar. Interstellar means the region between two stars. Intercity, two states. International, two countries. So interstellar means the space between the two stars. Right? So I'll explain what is that, but understand that they are always being created and they are always being destroyed. So that's why we say nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. They are created and they are being destroyed also. Right? So hence we say that all the stars at present are in this stage. Now the problem started in the year 2021 and 22, where they calculated by using all this data. There is one star in Milky Way. Which is Milky Way? Our galaxy. So they found that in the Milky Way there is a star called as HD 140283, a star in Milky Way. And this star, they calculated that the age of this star is 14 billion years. Now this is where the problem starts. The Big Bang theory says that the age of universe is 13.77. Now how the age of a star can be 14 billion years? It is something like what we call it as the hen and egg issue. What we say, right? So there will be some problem associated with that. Now that's where they made that. Nobody was known that. So hence long debate was there. Then they concluded that we'll do one thing. We can't settle all the point. So what we will keep the present age of universe is something 13.77 billion years plus or minus 50 million years. So this is how they give the age of universe now. So age of universe at present is 13.77 billion years plus or minus 50 million years. Those who argue that it was the Milky Way, then it was formation, then you can add that 50 million years to the Big Bang. And those who say that it is before, you reduce your 50 million. So hence we say the age of universe is approximately 14 billion years. Is that clear? So this is how it makes some sense. So they will never ask you in detail, but remember that age of the universe is around 14 billion years, but we define that as 13.77 billion years plus or minus 50 million years. So those who argue, they can add 50 million years or they can remove 50 million years from the age of the universe. Is that clear? So hence we say approximately the age of universe is 14 billion. Is it clear now? The star and these perspectives. Done? Okay. Right. Now end of a star. See, I told that everything has limit, everything has to die. Right. Now in the context of star also, the end of a star is done when entire hydrogen is converted into helium. Right. So end of a star means it is something when the entire hydrogen is converted into helium. Right. We refer that as end of a star. Now any star which dies, always remember that a star is developed by nebula, and after that it ends its life. Before moving down, it enters into red giant and then it undergoes the explosion, and we refer that as supernova. Supernova or explosion of the stars. Right. Now we have different stars of different sizes. Some are big, some are small. Right. In the case of human beings also, can we say that all human beings die normal deaths? Some premature deaths, some die by accident, some hang, some take poisons, some die because of some disease. So different criteria are there in which the deaths are there. Now here also some criteria will be there. Now this criteria which is given by the end of a star, a criteria which is given by an Indian person. Have you heard about Subramanya Chandrasekhar? So Chandrasekhar has defined the criteria in which the stars dies. And this criteria which is given by Chandrasekhar, we refer that as Chandrasekhar limit. Chandrasekhar limit. Right. And this he has calculated on the basis of quantum physics by studying the light and all. So based on quantum physics, right, he said something called as Chandrasekhar limit. Now the value of Chandrasekhar limit, is 1.4 times the mass of a sun. 1.4 times mass of sun. So that is Chandrasekhar limit. 1.4 times mass of a sun. So Chandrasekhar limit, is it bigger than sun or smaller than sun? 1.4 is same as sun, bigger than value or lesser than value? More value. 1.4 more than, right? So this is Chandrasekhar limit. When you are writing, Chandrasekhar limit value is 1.4 times the mass of a sun. Right. Now what he says, any star which is below Chandrasekhar limit or less than Chandrasekhar limit, he says any star which is less than Chandrasekhar limit, it will end up its life in the form of white dwarf. It will end its life in the form of white dwarf. So this is the first way where the stars die. Any star which is less than Chandrasekhar limit will die in the form of white dwarf. It will become red giant and then it will explode. We refer that as white dwarf. Now, there are many stars which are more than Chandrasekhar limit. So what will happen to the stars which are more than Chandrasekhar limit? Right. Now, before moving down to this more than Chandrasekhar limit, there is something called as escape velocity. Now, what do you mean by escape velocity? What do you mean by escape velocity? The escape velocity of Earth is 11.2 kilometers per second. What is escape velocity?
Velocity means an object can move away from the gravity.
Can you make it correction? I'm not telling it is wrong. Anything which can be made it more effective. Velocity, speed, ella ondene. Can we say it is a minimum velocity? Minimum velocity to escape the gravitational pull of an object. We refer that as escape velocity. Keep the definition simple. So escape velocity means it is a minimum velocity. Minimum velocity to escape the gravitational pull of object. Minimum velocity which is required to escape the gravitational pull. Is it same for all the bodies? Is it same for all the bodies? It varies from. Now in the context of Earth, it is 11.2. If you move down to the sun, it will be around 680 kilometers per second. So if you are traveling with more than 680 kilometers per second, then you will overcome the pull of the sun. So when you launch satellites, ನೀವು ಯಾವುದೋ satellite launch ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತಂದಾಗ, its velocity should be more than 11.2 kilometers per second. Then only it will overcome the Earth's gravitational pull, or else Earth will pull it towards itself. So to overcome the gravitational pull, the minimum velocity acquired by an object is called as escape velocity. Is it clear? So escape velocity is very, very important. Now, in the context of the death of a star, Right. So he says that any star which is more than Chandrasekhar limit, if its escape velocity is 60% speed of a light. If any star which is dying more than Chandrasekhar limit, and if its escape velocity is 60% speed of a light. So 60% speed of a light andre ಏನು, velocity of the light is same, or it is more than velocity of light or less than velocity of light. 60% of the speed of light means its velocity is same as light, more or less? Less than that of a light. 60%, see, 100% and 60%. Right. So if any star, if its escape velocity is 60% of a speed of a light, then such stars will end up its life in the form of neutron stars, which keep on rotating. So they will end up in the form of neutron star. Pulsars antivala now, which rotates very fast. Pulsars, which rotates. So these are called as neutron stars, which rotate very fast. High rotation, pulsars. Right. But we also have certain stars whose size is more than Chandrasekhar limit, whose value is more than Chandrasekhar limit, and whose escape velocity is same as velocity of light. Same as velocity of light. Or whose escape velocity is more than velocity of light. More than velocity of light. So such stars, when they die, they take the shape of black hole. So these stars, they end up in the form of black holes. So that's why we say not even light escapes from the black holes. Why? Because its escape velocity itself is same as the velocity of light, or its escape velocity is more than that of a light. Then how the light can escape from that? So it is one of the way where the black holes are formed. It is not the only way. So black holes are formed in universe in different ways. Many ways the black holes are formed. But one of the way in which the black holes are formed is by the process of dying star. Is that clear? No. So this is how the three ways in which the star dies: white dwarf, neutron star, and black hole. And the limit is called as Chandrasekhar limit, which is 1.4 times that of a mass of a sun. Now, if the sun dies, if the sun of solar system dies, then it will die in which form? If the sun of our solar system dies, so it will die in the form of black hole, neutron star, or white dwarf. Perfect. Because sun is less than Chandrasekhar limit. So hence the death of the sun will be in the form of white dwarf. Simple as it is. Is it clear? See this pictographically. This is how the supernova is seen. This is how the white dwarf ends its life. And these are the images which are taken by James Webb Telescope. James Webb Telescope. More defined. Chandrasekhar limit 1.4 times the mass of a sun. Right. Any star which ends up less than Chandrasekhar limit will end up in the form of white dwarf. Stars with more than Chandrasekhar limit end up as neutron star. And in neutron star, what is the criteria? Its escape velocity is 60% the velocity of light. And black hole, if its escape velocity becomes that of speed of a light, then we refer that as a black hole. Is it clear? At least remember this. Right. So this is how any star which is formed will always end up its life in these. And we refer that as Chandrasekhar limit. Is it clear now? Okay. See, these all are factual data, prelims, mains, perspectives, which can be seen. Now we move on to sun. Now sun is the solar star of our solar system, right? Now when we talk about the sun, understand this. Sun is a star, and the energy produced in the sun is nuclear fusion, and the time required by the radiation to reach to the earth is 8.2 minutes. And this energy which is released by the sun, we refer that as electromagnetic radiations. Electromagnetic radiation of different wavelength. Now, how to remember the wavelengths of the sun? Long waves, short waves, infrared radiation, ultraviolet radiation, how to remember them? See, we always say frequency is inversely proportional to the wavelength. If frequency is more, wavelength will be less. If frequency reduces, wavelength will be more. Right. Now, to remember this, you should remember this part. This portion is called as visible light. Visible light, which consists of VIBGYOR. Now, after this, we are having infrared radiations. More wavelength, less frequency. Then we are having microwaves. By heart this, remember this. We are having microwaves. And then more longer than that, we refer them as radio waves. So VIBGYOR, infrared, microwaves, and radio waves. So these are where we refer them as long waves. So long wavelength or short frequency or low frequency. Right. Now here we are having something called as ultraviolet. Right. And then you are having X-rays. And then you are having gamma radiation. Gamma rays. Right. So these are having high frequency, or we refer them as low. Here we are having long wavelength, and here we refer them as short wavelength. So fix this in the mind. Visible light. On the right side, we are having long wavelengths. Infrared, microwave, radios. So infrared is a short wave or long wave? Long waves. Ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma. So they are having high frequency. High frequency means high power, high penetration powers. Is it clear? So VIBGYOR you should keep in the mind. Visible light, infrared, microwave, and radio waves. Ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays. Is it clear? This is called as solar spectrum. Or electromagnetic radiation or electromagnetic spectrum. So many times questions are asked from this in prelims. Gamma rays, X-rays, right? So which one is more dangerous? Gamma rays, X-rays, then ultraviolet. Is it clear now with the frequency wise? So this is what we refer them as electromagnetic radiations or electromagnetic spectrum. Now when we talk about the structure of the sun, so the structure of sun also consists of interior and surface. Now what is there in the interior and what is there in the surface? Right. So in the interior, this is called as core of a sun. And this core of a sun is an area where nuclear fusion takes place. Nuclear fusion takes place. And this nuclear fusion, where the temperature is 15 million degrees centigrade. Core of a sun. Now surrounding the core, we are having a zone which is referred as radiative zone. Right. So always try to remember them. One is core, then following that is radiative zone. Now after this entire image I am trying to explain. See this core, radiative zone. Try to understand them in a very simple way. Radiative zone. And then the third one is called as convective zone. Convective zone. Now this is called as interior of the sun. Now exterior, surface of the sun. See, on the earth also we have the surface called as, the first layer is called as troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, spheres. So here also exterior of the sun. Now when you talk about exterior of the suns, remember that the exterior consists the first layer which is referred as photosphere. So photospheres. Now we are talking about exterior, or we refer that as surface of the sun. So the first layer is called as photosphere. And after the photosphere, the second layer is called as chromosphere. Chromosphere. And the third layer is called as corona. Third layer is called as corona. So this is how the structure of sun looks like. Interior consists of core, radiation zone and convection zone. So core is where the nuclear fission takes place, which has a temperature of 15 million degrees centigrade. And then the second layer is called as radiation zone and then convection zone. And the outer layers, they are followed by photosphere, chromosphere and corona. Right. Now here remember, the temperature is 15 million degrees centigrade. Now if you take photosphere, chromosphere and corona, you are moving away from the nuclear fusion. Now which portion should be having high temperature, photosphere or corona? See, when you are in this region, practically photosphere, chromosphere and corona, when you are moving away from the sources, which region should be having more temperature, photosphere or corona? The photosphere should have more temperature than corona, right? But if you see the temperature of corona, the temperature of corona is 1 lakh degrees centigrade, right? And the temperature of photosphere is somewhere around 6000 degrees centigrade. It is opposite of the thoughts. It is opposite of the thoughts. So here, see, candle tarandre, if you are having that some light, simple. This is a source of a light. Here you are having some candle. Now when you are moving away from that, the person who is close to the candle will have more temperature. If you move away from that, the temperature should be less. Yes or no? Right. So here also, if it is 15 million, so the photosphere will be having more temperature and the corona should be having less temperature. That is theoretical. That is theoretical, or we say practically also. But we find that there is a different from our perspectives. Now, if you see the sun, we find that the corona is having high temperature. The corona is having the highest temperature and the photosphere is having very less temperature. Right. So hence we say the visible part of the sun is not corona, it is photosphere. The visible part of the sun is photosphere. Visible part of the sun is photosphere. Now corona is not visible. But when the corona is visible, when we find moon enters between the earth and sun. And when moon enters between the earth and sun, we refer that as solar eclipse. So during total solar eclipse, corona is visible. Only during total solar eclipse. So this corona is visible. It is visible only during total solar eclipse. These are the facts. The corona is visible only during total solar eclipse. Purna Surya Grahana. Not in all the cases. And photosphere is visible part of the sun. Now, we find these are the issues. Now, to study this, why it is behaving like that, 2 missions have been launched to study this. One is Mission Aditya and second one is Solar Parker Probe. So 2 missions have been there. 2 solar missions are there to study this. One is Mission Aditya L1 and second one is Solar Parker Probe. Now Mission Aditya is from ISRO and Solar Parker Probe is from NASA. Solar Parker Probe is from NASA. Right. So at least now you know what is the objective of Mission Aditya and Solar Parker Probe: to identify or to study the 3 outer spheres, which are those: photosphere, chromosphere and corona, and also to study why corona is having more temperature than that of the photosphere. Is it clear? So that is the major objective of something. Right. Now, this is visible only during the total solar eclipse. Last slide and then we'll end up the class. So, this is called as the total solar eclipse. So, only during total solar eclipse, the corona is visible and corona is having high frequency. So, that's why in the solar, whenever total solar eclipse is there, they say that if you see the sun directly, your eyes will get damaged. Why? Because the rays which are emitted are in the form of X-rays and gamma rays. X-rays and gamma rays, which can destroy your eyes. So that's why it is advisable to cover your eyes during total solar eclipse, because of strong radiations which are emitted during that part. Is it clear? Now, immediately before the total solar eclipse and after the total solar eclipse, you will have a phenomenon called as diamond ring. Diamond ring, like see something here. If it is a sun, now when the moon enters here, it will cover this entire area. So this area will have a glow. This area will have a glow, and we refer that as a condition of diamond ring. A condition of diamond ring or golden ring. So diamond ring and golden ring phenomena are associated with the total solar eclipse. So it is before that process, before the total solar eclipse, and after the total solar eclipse, we find the diamond ring. So always remember, diamond ring phenomenon is associated with total solar eclipse, immediately before and immediately after that. Now the area which is exactly below the moon, so this area will experience total solar eclipse, and that area is referred as umbra. So remember, umbra is a shadow of a moon which experience total solar eclipse. In prelims, if they ask, umbra is a shadow region of a moon exactly vertical, and only umbra will experience total solar eclipse, and the surrounding area which will experience partial solar eclipse, we refer that as penumbra. So penumbra will experience partial solar eclipse. Oh, that's why they say whenever solar eclipse are there, they say Saudi Arabia will experience total solar eclipse. But the states of Karnataka, Maharashtra, they will experience partial solar eclipse. So it means the Karnataka and Maharashtra will be in Umbra or Penumbra region. In the Penumbra region. And Saudi Arabia will be in the Umbra region. So Umbra region will always experience what we call it as the total solar eclipse, and Penumbra region will experience the partial solar eclipse. And corona is visible only to this Umbra region. Is it clear? So this is some rough idea about the sun and its energy part. Is it clear? Okay. So before ending the class, take up this one question. Try to write answer for this as a homework. Fast. The fusion energy program in India. The fusion energy program in India has steadily evolved. The fusion energy program in India has steadily evolved over the past. The fusion energy program in India has steadily evolved over the past few decades. Few decades. Full stop. Decades. Decade means 10 years is called as a decade. I'll repeat. The fusion energy program in India has steadily evolved over the past few decades. Right. Mention India's contribution. Mention India's contribution to ITER. Now, what is ITR? International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor. India's contribution to ITER. Full stop. What will be implication? What will be implication of success of this project? Success of this project for future global energy. For future global energy. I'll repeat. What will be the implication of success of this project for future of global energy? Now this question was asked the mains, UPSC mains 2025, last week there, right? So it has to be written in 150 words, and I hope you know the content, right? So try to write answer for that. There should be an introduction, there should be a main body, and followed by way forward. Now try to write answer for this. Tomorrow after the class, I'll tell you in 2 minutes what mistakes you have done and how to make that part. So we'll practice in that way, so that you will also learn in writing the answers. The content is clear, right? So it is something called as Aditya, and now Aditya U, and then we are also having SST, steady state, right? Tokamak. So you have to give some rough idea. Whatever is known to you, try to put answer for that. Maybe they will ask again for the same parameters. Idea is to learn how to write answers for the same. Thank you.